Cheers.
Thou art base and debauched as can
Cheers, Adam.
be. And a night.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Dave and Stacie from Korman Productions, and we got a special podcast today talking about our trip to Man of La Mancha, Peterborough, New Hampshire.
Peterborough, New
Dang
Hampshire.
it, I thought I was going to get that right.
No S.
All right, so just to clue you in, this is not going to be the normal podcast. We're talking about our trip, but my crazy partner prepared 5 pages worth of notes to talk about everybody's trip.
I just wanted to write some things down so I wouldn't forget to mention them. And next thing I know, I had like this whole scripted note session.
Yeah,
so.
and I have no preparation whatsoever.
Well, so we're going to walk through not only our weekend, but the weekend of all of our friends that went to Man of La Mancha.
Including Suzanne Smiley. Was not with us per se, but she also went to see Scott Bakula as well.
Well, she actually hasn't yet as of when we're talking.
Right.
She's going tonight.
She's gonna.
So today is Friday.
Yep.
That we're recording. The next Friday, after the Friday we're going to be talking about. It's been a week already. Can you believe it's been a week since we did this?
It's amazing.
It feels like it's been 2 days.
And I've been screwed up the entire time.
I know. I don't know what I did this week. Like, I didn't get work done.
Now, part of that is, I was taken out of my routine. It took me a while to get back into it.
Sure.
For 3 days. But at the same time, the weather has been kind of changing, so I've been kind of feeling a little icky at the same time.
Yeah, it suddenly turned to fall this week. I don't
in August
know what happened.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
But this was a great trip. Like, it was a lot of fun. And we met up with the people of the Quantum Leap podcast, Albie, Chris, who we've met before, Serenity, Brian, we met all these people.
And we got to hang out, all day together. So it was great. We're going to go through all of the things we did.
Right.
But we're going to go a little bit in order, because you're going to break my notes if you start going all over the place.
All right, but I just want to say that, we took this to another level. We're no longer just, friends. We're friends.
Yeah, right.
It feels official now. I feel like we should be, wearing friendship bracelets.
Yeah, they're not just internet friends anymore.
Right, they're actual friends. And I think that, them liking you is not a surprise, but I think they might actually like me too. And, I'm always surprised when people like me, because I'm kind of an awkward doofus.
Yeah, well, we both made this joke multiple times throughout the day and since then. Is this what it feels like to have friends other than each other?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sure, there's Adam and there's Tim in New York, but I don't see Tim very often. But yeah, so
all right. So straight off the bat, I want to tell you that this video is Korman Productions in association with the Quantum Leap podcast and Al's Place Quantum Leap fan site.
Yes.
All of those entities are part of this story we're going to be talking about.
Brian Green, our new travel agent.
He's our new travel agent. And this video is brought to you, not at all, by Poland Springs Water and Cracker Barrel Magnets.
Right, yes.
All right, so what I want to do is walk through the weekend. And a lot of this came from our group chat. So we have a group chat going that involves all of these people that were part of this, as well as a few people who weren't even going to the show, and I'm not sure why exactly they're in that chat, but they're Quantum Leap people. So we've had this great chat going on for the past 2 weeks or so.
Yep.
So I was pulling things from that chat, just trying to remember the story of how all of this went. And so we're going to walk through the weekend, and the weekend actually starts on Thursday. Mm-hmm. Thursday, the 15th of, what month are we in? August.
You see how out of sorts you are. You don't even know what month you're in anymore.
Yeah, so our story starts on Thursday, and I'm just going to walk through what all of us were doing, because we all had different experiences, right, going into this weekend. For us, the trip was just a day trip. For a lot of these people, this was airplane, big-time trip, right? All right, so I'll start with Thursday. I was cleaning my house.
Wow, this is exciting already.
I was deep cleaning. I went in cuckoo crazy clean mode. I've got a screenshot for you to put in the video there. I don't know what I was doing. I was I have company coming that I've never met before. They're staying in my house. And I was super...
You kind of don't want to make a bad impression.
Super deep cleaning my house. And I was everything's got to be perfect. And I prepped my guest room. And actually, I'm going to back up a second before we proceed, because our listeners have no idea what I'm talking about. So I'm going to back up a little bit about the trip itself and who's involved and how this ended up happening. So Scott was going to be playing in Man of La Mancha, which is...
Scott Bakula.
We just call him Scott now. And that's super meta because not only is it like, yay, we get to see Scott perform live again, but it's Mana La Mancha, which is the play that was featured in Catch a Falling Star episode.
Yes.
And if you aren't up to the speed with that yet, you need to stop it and realize what we're talking about because this is a huge deal. This is a super meta play with a super meta performance, and we had a super meta weekend meeting all of our online friends who are our real friends, who are our podcasting peeps.
Right, yes.
Okay, so Suzanne Smiley was the first person who was like, hey, I bought my tickets. And I was like, oh, the tickets are for sale because we'd been talking about this and wanting to go. And I was like, oh, are we doing this? If we're doing this, we better do it right now because the tickets are going to sell out. So she had bought tickets for tonight, the second Friday. And about the same time, Albie messages me and he's like, okay, I bought my tickets and we're going from this date to this date and we're seeing 3 performances. And I was like, you're insane. But Albie, Serenity, and Chris are going on the 16th, 17th, 18th. Or 7th, whatever those days are. They were going on Thursday, seeing shows Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and leaving on Monday. At least Albie and Serenity were. Chris was not seeing 3 shows, but he was going to be there over the same days. Him and his wife were making a weekend of it. So I was like, well, sorry, Suzanne, but we're going to go with when all of them are there.
Right.
So we quickly made plans. And this was a busy day texting back and forth with you and my husband, who was actually out of the house. He was working in the office that day. He was like texting back and forth, and I'm like trying to make this work. And I'm like, we got to get tickets to the show before it sells out, and we got to make a plan. Are we staying there overnight? Like, it's only 2.5 hours away, but that was going to get expensive. So we ended up making it a day trip. Take a sip of my tea. This is a lot more talking than I usually do on the channel. So we made plans that we were going to go to the Saturday show. And had plans already, talked to Albie about this way back then when tickets were bought. We're going to hang out Saturday afternoon. And I say that because by the time we got to this week of the show, he's like, what are we doing? When are we meeting? What day? Who's coming? He had no idea.
Yeah.
The planning went a little kaput. Kaput?
Kaput?
It went bad.
Caca?
It was a little caca. It was a little caca,
okay.
our planning. So yeah, about a month later, so this was like months ago, we've had this trip in the works. Brian Green from Al's Place, who wasn't originally going to go, he was like, he couldn't make it. He was like, I really want to try and make it to this show, and I'd love to go when all of y'all are going and meet you all. And I was like, that's amazing. We want to meet you. Let's make it work. And it was a few days of back and forth of, oh, I think I can make it. Oh, I don't think I can do that. He was set to drive, and it was going to be like a 14-hour drive from...
Well, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's kind of what me, Adam, and Tim did back in the day, going to Detroit.
It was going to be a 14-hour drive if he drove from North Carolina to New Hampshire. And he's like, well, I have to stop overnight on the way, so that's a hotel and 2 days of driving. And then the same thing on the way back, so we're talking 4 days of driving, plus 2 hotel nights, plus the nights that will be in the thing. So he'd have to take like a week off of work, pay for multiple hotel stays. And he's like, and all that gas, that's going to be too expensive. And he was like, you know what, never mind. I can't make this work. And I was like, well, what can we do to help?
Right.
So through multiple iterations of trying to change these plans, we ended up with this plan that seemed really crazy at the time, but we pulled it off.
You brought this up to me, the whole idea of like Brian coming to stay in your house for that weekend. And I'm like, this is never going to happen. It's never going to happen. It's just too fantastical of an idea.
Yeah. So the plan and again, there were various iterations of how this plan would work. But the plan we landed on at the end of the day was Brian was going to fly here to Connecticut, where we live, spend the weekend with us, and drive with us for our day trip to New Hampshire, and then fly back to North Carolina from Connecticut, which would save him like 90% of what this trip would have cost him otherwise.
Right, yeah.
Which would allow him to be able to pull it off. And yeah, it seemed really insane. And my husband was like, who is this person that you're inviting into our house? Because he doesn't know Quantum Leap people.
It's Brian
He doesn't
Green
pay attention.
From the QuantumLeapAlsplace.com website.
Right. And he's like, you're inviting a stranger in our house? And then like, while I'm having this conversation with him for the first time, my mother's in the car, and she's like, who's this guy? A stranger? What? Like, she was not helpful. I was like, it's not a stranger. It's Brian Green.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like you picked up a homeless bum and decided to have him sleep in your house.
But it all came through.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's where we're at, is Brian was coming to stay here. He was coming in on Friday. which we're going to get to very shortly. And that was how he ended up in our vehicle and with us more. Because he was staying here and driving to New Hampshire with us.
Yeah, you'll notice that a lot of the footage that I have from this weekend is with Brian in it. So he's going to be omnipresent throughout the video that you're seeing right now of our trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to Thursday. I'm cleaning the house because Brian's coming, and I'm acting like a crazy person because I have company coming. Meanwhile, Brian drove to his aunt's house that evening because apparently he lives like hours and hours from the airport. I didn't know that going into any of this. That was news to me. Like that day, I was like, where are you going? Did you get your days wrong? Because you're not supposed to be coming till tomorrow. And he's like, no, I'm staying at my aunt's house tonight because it's like her house is 2 hours away and she's a half hour from the airport. And I was like, that's a lot of away. So this falls into the area of how like close things are to each other for us in New England versus where any of these other people are from, where everything's super spaced out.
Right.
So yeah, he went to his aunt's house for the night. Meanwhile, also Thursday, Chris and his wife Laura and their dog Penny drove to Peterborough. They live in New York, so they took the drive up. I don't know what time they got there. We didn't really get much of their story, but they're there now on Thursday. They're the first ones there. Albie, our friend Albie, he had a plane scheduled for 7:30 p.m. Thursday to leave Florida.
Okay.
And he was playing with the idea of trying to catch an earlier flight. So he's the night before telling me, I'm going to get on this standby flight at 8 a.m.
Right.
And I was like, are you sure you're going to do that? Because it's like 1 a.m. now. I'm talking to him.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, if you're going to try and get an 8 a.m. flight, you should probably get some sleep.
Yeah.
And he said something, there was like a few different flights throughout the day that was potential standby options. So I ended up messaging him sometime in the middle of the day. And I was like, I was going to ask if you got on an airplane this morning, but you haven't been online today at all. So I'm guessing you didn't.
Right.
And he's like, no, didn't make it to the airport. It's like 4:00 in the afternoon now. He's like, but I'm going to get to the 7:30 flight, the original one we had scheduled.
Well, at least he's going to get to
and
that.
I was like, well, that's good.
Yeah.
So that was a little ambitious of him.
So, it's come up several times, but
I knew you were going to bring it up there.
I mean, of course.
This is the first place to bring it up.
Because this is the natural place to bring it, is the fact that Adam, your husband, and Albie are basically the exact same person.
They have a lot of very similar traits, yes.
Yeah.
Including this one of not being a morning person.
Right,
To put it super duper mildly.
Right, yep. Yeah, they're on vampire hours, really, when it comes down to it.
So they got on a flight, Albie and his daughter Serenity, whose birthday it is as when we're recording. Happy birthday,
yes,
Serenity.
Happy birthday,
That'll be
Serenity.
past by the time you're hearing this, but as of when we're talking, it's her birthday, and that's super great. This was a birthday trip for her.
Yep.
So they're supposed to land in New Hampshire around midnight, which was ridiculous of a plan to begin with. But then they ended up getting delayed.
Oh man,
Their connecting flight. So they're in Charlotte, North Carolina, close to where Brian is. And they ended up spending a couple hours in the Charlotte airport. They were not meant to be there.
Right.
So they had a long layover that wasn't scheduled. I mean, the layover was scheduled, but it was delayed. And instead of arriving at midnight, they got on that second plane about midnight. So now they're going to arrive at New Hampshire airport 2:30 in the morning.
Ooh.
Yeah. And Christopher was very graciously waiting to pick them up at the airport, which was, some distance away from Peterborough. I'm not sure how far exactly, but you remember him and his wife are already settled in. They started their weekend trip, and now he goes to the airport to pick them up at 2:30 in the morning. Friday morning, this is now really. And so it's just after 3 a.m. Now, I had already been sleeping, but I woke up about 3 a.m. and I look at my phone. Now, you, Dave, started your Friday. You're up for the day.
Yes.
You went to work. You're typing at 3 a.m. in the group chat. And Albie and Serenity get to their hotel.
So, yeah, just to clue you in on my day, the day started off fine as far as work was concerned. And then in the last couple hours, it was like basically...
Friday, we're talking.
Yes, Friday. It was basically like it was doing everything in its power to make sure I was tortured as much as possible.
So I know you had a really long day.
Yeah, before I got to leave. And
your
come
day
here,
started when the rest of us are still on our Thursday.
Pretty much.
Here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Albie and Serenity just arrived at the hotel at 3 a.m. Seems like a waste of paying for a night at a hotel room to me, but it was already prepaid. Yeah. So they made it, and they're about to crash for Thursday night, and you started your Friday, very long Friday it must have been, because it was... We had a long Saturday, but when you add Friday to it...
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was worth it, though. Definitely.
So Friday morning, Brian gets on the airplane. He had a very interesting airport experience.
Okay.
And I have some screenshots about that. Okay. Do you remember those stories?
No, I do not.
No, you were too busy working.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, you were working. So he got stopped at security.
Oh yeah, of course.
And
Okay.
had some interesting things happen there. And then he also ended up sitting next to this guy that was talking to himself. And our friend Dennis, Dad to the Future, is the one who made the joke, like, "Oh, it was Sam Beckett."
Right.
You know,
obviously.
But no, apparently it was some crazy guy. So he had a very interesting morning. And then my husband, Adam, thinks that I'm sending him to the airport to pick up Brian by himself.
Well, that sounds a little bit awkward to me.
Right?
Yeah.
He has no idea who Brian is. He can't even get the name straight of who is who in this group of people.
Right. I think he referred to him as Albie a couple of times.
For like the last week, he'd been mixing them up. Mm-hmm. Because to him, at this point, they're just names.
Right.
He's never watched their shows. He has no idea who these people are other than their names we throw around, right? So he's like very confused that I'm getting ready to go to the airport with him. And I'm like, why wouldn't I go to the airport with you?
These are people that I know and you don't. So why? Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
It was funny.
But that's Adam for you.
Yeah. So he was happy that I wasn't sending him to pick up somebody he doesn't know who it even is. I'm not sure how that would have went down. He'd have brought some stranger home.
Right. Yeah, I can imagine that. Hey, who is this person? Yeah.
Okay. So we're driving to the airport. And now I'm going to share this very meta moment that I had in my brain. This was where the whole weekend just kind of started for me. Mm-hmm. Okay. And it's 11:40 a.m. on Friday. And I know that because I pulled this out of the group chat. I know exactly when we were. Adam and I are driving to the airport. We're very close. We're a couple minutes away. Brian messages in the group chat that he's landed. So we're in good timing. By the time he gets his bag and stuff, we're going to be there. It's all going to be great. At the same time, Albie announces that he's awake, which is amazing. He's awake at 11:40 a.m. after arriving at the hotel at 3 a.m.
Right.
That's early for him on a regular day. Never mind I traveled all night day. Mm-hmm. And on the radio is playing the song by Four Non Blondes, What's Up? Do you know that song?
I do not.
Okay, well, that song's playing. And I'm going to tell you why this was a ridiculously meta moment for me. That song always reminds me of the show Sense8.
Okay.
Are you familiar with that show?
I am familiar with the show.
So anyone who's not familiar with that show, it's basically about a group of people, and they live in all different parts of the world. They've never met before, but they have this telepathic connection, right? And this, in turn, reminded me of this conversation I once had with Albie, during which I brought up that show. We were talking, about shows. And we were talking about our Quantum Leap friend group. And, how we're from all different places, and we didn't meet organically. We're talking about, how great it is to have these friends that aren't the friends you meet in traditional ways, right? We didn't grow up next door to each other, go to school together. Like, we didn't meet because we were put in the same path. We met because we all have these common interests and common things that we do and love to talk about. Like, not only like, hey, we love Quantum Leap, but we all podcast about it.
Right,
and spend all of our free time being these crazy, TV nerds. Mm-hmm. And, we may not communicate telepathically, but we do have our group chat.
Right, yeah.
And it was just this idea that, we're these, it's so nice to have friends that we chose on such a level.
Right.
That, we didn't just come across in life by circumstance.
Right, absolutely.
And we've all become, really good friends.
I know, it's crazy.
Online friends who we've never met.
Right.
And again, I had this conversation with him talking about Sense8, and I was like, well, we're not quite there, but, that's how I feel about you guys. Like it's amazing. We're these great friends. And, we've got all these group chats, so that we kind of can communicate with each other. And then in this moment, where I'm about to meet Brian Green, I know we're going to meet Albie and Serenity. We're going to get to hang out with Chris, who we only met very briefly before. Mm-hmm. It's all coming together this weekend starting, and that's the song that reminds me of that conversation.
That is pretty amazing.
That is playing, and I'm just like, of all the songs that could be playing right now, that's the one I would have put in the background of this moment if I was scripting this moment in television.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? If this was media, this is what would be happening. And it was just this crazy moment for me that I was like, wow, like this is how you know that we live in a simulation, because
Right, yeah. It's just way too perfect.
it was perfect. And I'm like, not only all this, we're going to all go together to see Scott Bakula perform Catch a Falling Star live for us.
Right, exactly.
So it was just this crazy moment for me. Oh, and spoiler alert, on Sense8, they do all get to meet at the end as well.
Aw.
So it's about this group of people who never met, have, you know, this great, like, adventure together, but not at the same place. And then they do meet at the end. So it was like us. We got to all meet each other.
Yeah, we all got to meet each other.
Okay, so anyways, moving on. Adam and I find Brian at the airport. We managed to actually meet up with him. And I got out to help
You didn't
him.
bring him some homeless bum.
Nope. No, we found the actual Brian Green.
That's good.
Of Al's place. Yeah. We had this kind of awkward, like, first meet hug at the airport pickup line. And I tried to help him with his bag, but his bag was as big as me. I know you experienced it on his way out of town.
Yes. That bag was huge.
I don't know what he had in there
Was he
for a
packed-
2-day trip. But
Was he packing to move here for the rest of his life and just, got disappointed when he had to
it's
leave?
funny because you both stayed at my house for 2 days.
Yep.
You came with a plastic grocery bag,
Yep.
and he came with this, like, 5-foot suitcase.
I mean, to be fair, he's coming from out of state,
I get
whereas
it.
I live here.
But you were also both in my house for the same amount of time.
That's fair.
and
that's
the same
fair.
activities you had to prepare for.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, his bag was like bigger than me, so I couldn't really help. He puts it in the trunk, and yeah, we get in the car, and I was like, oh, this is weird. It's my friend Brian, but also like, yeah, this is a stranger in the car.
All right. So, from my experiences from, say, meeting people online that I get romantically entangled with,
Sure.
and then meeting those people in real life, it's very weird.
It's weird, right?
because-
It's always weird
yeah.
when you meet somebody that you
Yeah.
already have some sort of, like, in your head idea of who this person
exactly,
is, because
exactly.
you know each other. Like, we're good friends. We talk
We're
all the
good
time.
friends, but at the same time, we are actually strangers.
Right.
Right. So yeah.
But it only lasted a couple minutes. So it was funny because meeting him and he's in the car and I'm just like, he looks a little different, just a little bit
than you would
than my
picture?
brain expects
Yeah.
him to. He sounds a little different
Right.
than I expect him to, because we all sound different digitally. Like, we all know each other's voices very well, but we all sound a little bit different in person than we
Yeah,
do
yeah.
digitally, right? And my brain is just like trying to reconcile these. It only took 2 minutes, you know. But for those 2 minutes, I was like, this is strange and awkward.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, like, I mean, by, like, you know, an hour later when you're here and we're all hanging out and starting our day, he was Brian again. He no longer looked a little bit different. He no longer sounded a little bit different. My brain fixed it all. And he was the same old Brian that I knew. Like,
Right.
it wasn't like, oh, he's different than I expected. It was just like, it took my brain a minute to link it all up.
Yeah, gotcha. You had to, like, sync in with Ziggy.
Yes,
and,
so,
yeah.
exactly. So, 1:30 you arrived here.
Yes.
What was your experience meeting Brian?
Well, I mean, it's my same experience meeting anyone. Like I am a super awkward person. That's just who I am.
Okay.
And it takes me a while to warm up to new people, even though this is a person I know. It's like it's you know, like the same experience with you. I'm just having trouble syncing it up.
Right.
Yeah, and it's like and you know, I don't want to come off as the awkward doofus that I actually am.
Okay.
I can't really I can't really hide the fact that I'm this weirdo guy, and I try to. I try to keep that under wraps for a little bit until at least you get to know me and like me a little bit. But yeah, I mean, for a while it was kind of weird. And then we went downstairs to record our one of two podcasts.
Yeah, so we came down here to
Yeah.
the basement, just
Yeah.
where we're at now, our recording studio, and we recorded a podcast for the Quantum Leap episode, Ghost Ship, Brian joining us, and I think that went well.
Yeah, I mean, like at first I'm like having performance anxiety because you know, like I'm used to it just being you and me,
And I think we both have this kind of idea in our head that, like, well, we're not really podcasters,
right?
We're just pretending,
right? Yeah, we're pretenders. What's the word for that? Like imposter syndrome,
right?
And so, like, you know, we're recording on a phone. We think that Brian's used to this high-tech stuff, and Albie's does this high-tech stuff. But when it really comes down to it, we all do the same exact thing. it's not like they're on some.
I mean,
other...
they do have better equipment than us.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, I think we got a reality check that we're valid. I think that's what I got out of this weekend.
Yeah. It was validation for us, for sure.
Yeah, it really was.
But, it's like, it definitely felt nerve-wracking when I started. Like, having Brian observe me, and I'm thinking, like, oh my God, he's judging me and my performance and this and that. And then after a while, I just kind of, like, relaxed and got into it, and then it was fine.
And then we recorded a second podcast with him. We did a video podcast,
Mm-hmm.
an interview with Brian, if you will, talking about Al's Place and all of the great improvements that he has. So if you haven't seen that one, go check it out. We had a fun little chat talking about the website.
Yeah, which we are now heavily featured in.
Yeah. Some of us more than others.
Yes, of course.
I have to throw that out there every chance I get. That I got my name's on a lot of pages on that episode guide, you guys. A lot of pages.
Now I got a chance to be, thanks to my detailed notes that I still had. I also got included in quite a few of the new series.
That's right. So, that's right. Okay, so after we were done with all of our work stuff and we had some podcasts recorded, we got to enjoy our evening. I made burgers. We had a nice dinner together, the four of us. Me and you and Brian and my husband Adam. Then we played some games.
Yeah, Boop.
We played Boop, which is a game that my husband really loves for some reason. Nobody else can get into it, but we all went along with it. And
right,
you didn't play, but so
I watched.
Yeah, we just kind of went with it. And Brian was such a trooper.
Yeah,
he wasn't like, I don't think so. He was just like, cool. What are we doing? Let's do it.
That seems to be Brian's basic personality.
Yeah.
He'll just go along with anything.
For real.
Right.
So we played Boop. Brian beat me in the first game, and then Adam beat him. Then we played some Catan. That's what you love to do.
Yes.
We used to do it quite often, the three of us.
Yeah. Not as much anymore.
It's been a while.
Because my work schedule has been sucky.
Yeah, so you're spending the night. We had the evening, so we played Catan. Adam won the first game, no surprise.
Actually, no, we didn't.
I thought Adam won.
Nope, I won the first game.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll take it back. You won.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was way ahead for a little bit there, and then I stalled out. I couldn't make any progress.
I just assumed he won because he always wins everything.
I won some games of Catan against him, and then I agreed to a second game, and it was 9:00 at night. I didn't think it would go on for as long as it did.
So Dave's usual bedtime is about 8 p.m.
Nowadays,
when he works, because remember he was up for work at 3 a.m.
right
on this day.
Thankfully,
that we're talking about.
It seems like my schedule might change a little bit after this week, though I'm not sure if what I saw was accurate. And it would allow me to sleep a little later and go to bed a little bit later, but we'll see how that goes. Basically, a lot of people have left at my job, so it's like left down to like a very small core group of people. And yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. But we're moving on past that.
Moving on. So we played Catan. So you won the first one.
Yeah.
And then Brian won the second game.
Yeah.
He picked it up very quickly.
Yeah.
And managed to beat all of us in the second game.
Yeah. In the second game, towards the end, I'm like, okay.
We were all just kind of like ready for the game to, except for Adam.
Of course.
He doesn't want it.
He did things to prolong the game, and I'm like, oh, Adam, come on. And I'm doing everything I can to basically get Brian to win, because who wants Adam to win? He wins every time. But eventually, Brian ends up pulling it out and winning the game.
He won the game. And I think he had fun. We all had a fun evening.
Absolutely.
And I don't know what time we left the basement, but I know by the time I got settled into bed, it was like after 1.
Now, by this point, I've completely gotten past all the awkwardness, and it's Brian's my friend now.
Right.
So we're past that stage. We're in the, warmed up, and we're relaxed around each other, and we're actually friends now.
Yeah. So meanwhile,
Yep.
on Friday, that's our Friday, Albie and Serenity and Chris, they spent Friday afternoon exploring Peterborough, New Hampshire. They went hiking. And we've got hopefully some pictures that you're seeing at some point here of their day.
Yep.
They met up with a Quantum Leap podcast listener, Karen, and all of them together went to see the Friday evening performance of Man of La Mancha. They got to meet Scott, take some photos with him. That was performance 1 of their weekend. Again, Albie went to 3 of them. So yeah, it looked like they had a great time, but we weren't missing out. We had a great time too. We actually had a really fun evening.
Yep.
And,
now, I would say that Man of La Mancha, that was our main reason for taking this trip. But everything leading up to that absolutely made the trip worthwhile.
I mean, yeah, you can tell because like 5 pages of notes, 4.5 of them are not about the show.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't even think I have anything to actually say about the show.
Well, we'll find something to say about the show.
Course, but like,
it was the experience.
Yeah, it was like it was amazing to like have meet up with these guys and get over the awkwardness.
Yeah.
and become actual friends. And I'm not a guy who makes friends easily.
Right.
I just don't.
And you know what? I think that's something that all of us have in common.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Because we're all these crazy people who similarly, grew up being way too addicted to television, that's what we do with our free time is talk about it to strangers on the internet.
Right.
Like we all are very similar in that regard. Mm-hmm. So I think we all have a lot of similar character traits about being awkward and weird.
But, it's kind of, psychologically, it just feels like, sometimes you think you're the only one who feels that way. Right. But it's really not the case.
Yeah.
Like, I also have this tendency to like just think people like are above me no matter what.
Yeah,
like,
sure, me too.
Like Chris and like Albie. At one point, I guess we'll move on and then we'll talk about that. What I'm actually getting at there later.
Okay,
but
stick to the schedule. Yeah. We're going in a little bit in order, anyways. Yes. Okay, so after that show, the Friday night show, we're still playing games at this point. Our group chat turned into this "What are you wearing?" conversation. So that was a little weird. All right, so Dave went and slept on my couch.
Yes.
And Brian was sleeping in the guest room. He said he actually got a great night's sleep. You slept okay too, you said, Friday night.
I did. And then I woke up at 5:30 in the morning for no reason
Right,
at all.
so you were going to get to sleep in.
Yeah.
We weren't leaving super early. It was early for my household, but super late for you.
I was still sleeping in for me.
Right.
It was. I was waking up later than I had been. But I'm waking up, my brain is on fire. I'm thinking about like all these crazy things about things I need
but at least you got some sleep first.
Yeah.
Me, not so much.
No.
So it was about 1 when I went to bed. At 1:30, I put my phone down.
Yeah.
Okay. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get some good sleep now. My alarm wasn't going off until, what time was my alarm going off? 8, I think? Or was it 7?
Well, we were trying to leave
forget.
You were trying to get up by 7.
7. My alarm was going off at 7. Okay. So that's 6 hours. That's plenty. I'd have been good.
Yep.
If I felt... Now, I took sleeping pills. I'm going to say that. I should have been passed out. I took them, like, when we were done playing games. I should have been out cold. And I did fall asleep about 1:30. My husband wasn't in bed yet, so I woke up when he came to bed. Just briefly, I fell back asleep, and then he got up again. He wasn't feeling well. He had a rough night, too. He wasn't feeling well, so I woke up for that. So I woke up twice, between 1:30 and 3:30, but went back to sleep. So I got some sleep, but it was interrupted twice. 3:30, I wake up, I have to go to the bathroom. And I did not fall back asleep until about 6:30 in the morning.
Ah, yes.
From 3:30 until 6:30, I was wide awake. And I'm checking my phone a few different times, and I keep putting it down because I'm like, I have to sleep. But every time I looked at my phone, it said you and Brian both like had just been online. So I thought nobody in my house is sleeping. I know Adam's not sleeping. He's tossing and turning. He's getting up. He slept better than I did, but he was still having a rough night. But I was never more awake when trying to sleep in my life than this night. Now, we've all had nights like that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
First day at a new job, or like thinking back first day of school in a new year, or whenever you have anything like different happening in your life, like you might have this night, right, where your brain just can't turn off and you can't go to sleep even though you really have to go to sleep. It was that, but it was that on crack. Like, I have literally never, ever, ever in my life laid in bed that awake before. And the whole night I'm like, should I just get up?
Right.
Should I go have a cup? Where do I go? There's somebody sleeping in every room of my house.
Yeah.
I'm like, what am I doing with myself? So I just laid in bed, stared at the ceiling. And I kept saying, okay, go to sleep. You have to get some sleep. And I finally fell asleep after the sun came up, 6:30, for a half hour before my alarm went off at 7.
Nice.
It was a crazy night. Like, my brain was just in so many places, excited about the weekend and, like, the surrealness of this entire thing.
I think the only reason I didn't have a similar experience is because I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right, so your body turned off.
Right.
Like, it was 6 a.m. for you by the time you...
I mean, basically, I was just completely just exhausted and tired, and even my brain, which is kind of crazy, just like yours, just would not keep me up. But when I woke up at 5:30 in the morning, I'm thinking like everything the same thing you're thinking, and I'm thinking of all these videos and pictures I need to get.
Right.
Like preparing to meet Scott Bakula again. and taking video of that. And I came up with this idea that maybe I'd get him to talk about Roberto, which you shot down. I never even tried it. But
Yeah, aren't you glad you didn't, though?
no, I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah,
No,
that wasn't the right time or place for
no,
that
no,
to happen.
no, because Roberto was going to be our next episode. Like, have him, say, oh, yeah, a few words about that. But that was never going to happen.
No. So getting up at 4 people and getting ready to go was a little challenging.
Yeah, I was.
But we pulled through it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was ready hours before you guys even woke up.
We left the house at 9:45, which was right about what our plan was.
Yeah.
We did have a secret Adam time plan, which I'm not going to divulge the details of.
We have to have a plan to deal with that.
We have to have secret plans to deal with Adam time in my house. And we talked about this in the group chat, but I'm not going to go deeper than that publicly. We left the house at 9:45, and I was okay with that. Even though we had to tell him we were running super late.
Yeah.
That's the gist of the Adam time plan. So 9:45 we left. We went to Ken's Corner for breakfast, which is a local breakfast place that Adam loves. He's super friendly with them, basically family, even though not related. And so we got to show that restaurant off to Brian.
Yeah, here I'm thinking, I'm sitting next to Brian Green from QuantumLeapAlsPlace.com at Ken's Corner. And, at this point, I've gotten over the whole surrealness part of that. But at this point, I'm like, I'm having that moment again.
Like, is this real?
Right, yeah. And you ended up taking a group photo picture.
I did. I took a photo, sent it to our group chat.
And, okay, so I see this picture, and I'm just trying to get in there, get into the shot. And I'm like, this looks a little weird. It looks like I'm, cuddling up with Brian, like he's my new boyfriend. and you're
well, you did spend a lot of time together.
We did.
You got to cuddle up on the back seat for a very long trip.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot longer than it should have been, which we're going to get to a little bit more in the next few paragraphs.
So I say this to you, and you're like, what are you talking about? It's normal to get close to each other in pictures. And then later on, you actually take a look at this picture.
Yeah, because I hadn't really seen it. I had just taken it and posted it.
And then you're like, oh, okay, I see what you're talking about. And then you posted that picture in there, and then you said to the group chat, he wasn't trying to cuddle up with Brian. And then Suzanne gets involved with this, and she crops the picture to make it just me and Brian. And I show you the picture, and it's it's hilarious. But anyway,
yeah,
it was fun.
It was fun. So we got on the actual road out of town about 11 a.m., which is exactly when we wanted to.
Yeah.
Our plan was to be at this town by 2 p.m., and it's 2.5 hours, so that gave us an extra half hour to make another stop. We were right on schedule. We were right on schedule. We should have been there at 2, just like we planned. Everything's going perfectly at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
But then we didn't even make it out of Connecticut yet, which is not far from here, folks.
No.
20 minutes down the road, we already had to make a bathroom stop.
Yeah.
So of all places, we stop at Cracker Barrel.
Yes.
We went to a restaurant to use the bathroom.
Yes. Our second breakfast,
second break, second bathroom break, because we had a bathroom break at the restaurant. So we're already stopped. We're not even out of Connecticut yet. We're already stopping. We already, before we left Connecticut, ate up our window of stops for the day.
Yeah, yep.
So I knew at that point we were in trouble. We're not going to make it there by 2 a.m., which is when we're telling
2
people. 2 p.m.
Yeah, we're not Albie. We're not trying to make it somewhere by 2 a.m.
Oh, that would have been bad if we didn't get there till 2 a.m. We got home at 2 a.m. That's when our story ends.
Yeah.
So that's the story you've got to look forward to. We're at 11 a.m. We're going to go till 2 a.m. So get a beverage and keep listening.
Mm-hmm.
So we went in the store, like the three of us. I mean, we all use the bathroom too, but we take 30 seconds and somebody takes a half hour.
We're not going to mention any names, but it rhymes with madam. Anyway.
So Brian has this idea. He wants to get a magnet from every state we're going through. So this was our first chance. He finds a Connecticut magnet. He's super excited about that. Spoiler alert, he failed at getting any other magnets throughout the day. He did not get a Massachusetts, Vermont, or New Hampshire magnet. Didn't happen. You tried on some hats.
Yes.
We looked at some Halloween decorations, played around in the store a little bit.
It made me think of Carla.
Oh, did it?
Yes. Well, she's a...
Yeah, you might need to explain that a little bit.
So Carla Sutherland, the girl that I've been talking to in Canada, who's a world-famous voice actress, at least in my mind. She was actually in my favorite show, The X-Files, and I started talking to her because I was doing a live tweet on From, which you got me into. So we've been talking ever since. And
I'm waiting for the point of how this reminded you of her.
yeah. Well, this is going to be a super long podcast anyway, so might as well just throw in the kitchen sink.
Yeah.
All right. So basically, she's a big Halloween person.
Okay.
And so the Halloween decorations and stuff that are already up there is what reminded me of Carla.
Okay.
And
I noticed you took a lot of pictures and videos of Halloween decorations.
Yes. Yeah.
So those are for you, Carla.
Yes.
All right. I bought salt and pepper shakers.
You did.
I did. Yeah. They were cute.
I ended up buying some candy.
Yeah, we all bought something. The three of us while we're waiting for Adam. And we still had plenty of time left. We ended up hanging out in the rocking chairs out front waiting for Adam.
Yes.
At the Cracker Barrel.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was our first stop. And I wish it was our last stop.
Yeah, I wish the second one never happened.
Our next stop was at a Wendy's in Vermont. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we made any stops in Massachusetts.
No.
We didn't.
No, we actually managed to get some driving time in before we made another stop.
Yeah, so we stopped at Wendy's in Vermont and... it had single-person bathrooms.
Yeah.
It took a while.
Yeah.
Like 40 more minutes, I think.
Yeah.
For everybody to cycle through the bathroom. Mm-hmm. And then we made it a whole building over because somebody said they wanted a coffee. I don't know why you couldn't have just got a coffee at Wendy's while we were waiting there for 40 minutes.
So, Wendy's coffee is not that great. But it certainly was not worth the hour-long they spent in that Dunkin' Donuts line.
Well, I have 20 minutes in my notes, but
yeah, I'm exaggerating.
So we went one building over to the Dunkin's drive-thru and spent about 20 minutes in line to get Dave a coffee.
And there was jokes about that I should have just gone in and helped them. And
yeah, because Dave works at Dunkin'. If anybody doesn't know that.
Yeah.
And then we made a third stop on the same block to get gas.
Right.
So we were in this little town for well over an hour.
And then getting out of that gas station was even more fun because of where that gas station was located. There was a constant stream of cars, so it was really hard to get out of there.
Yeah, and throughout all of this little adventure in Vermont, Brian failed to get a magnet. He could not find a Vermont magnet at Wendy's.
Right.
Go figure.
We'd hoped the gas station would have a magnet there for Vermont, but no such luck.
All right, so as we drove through New Hampshire towards Peterborough, we established that Albie was awake.
That was always a
so
good
that
sign.
Was good.
Yeah,
he was on track to meet us, but our ETA went from 2 to 2:30 to 3.
Right. Yeah.
So our new plan was we're going to meet up at 3. But we mentioned earlier our planning went a little caca.
Yes.
We had never planned past. We're going to meet at 2 o'clock. And now 3 o'clock. That's our new plan. We're going to meet at 3. We don't know where we're meeting. Other than Peterborough, New Hampshire. We have no idea where we're going, where we're meeting. We have no idea what we're doing to occupy our afternoon. We just know we want to hang out together. Mm-hmm. So Brian acted on our behalf in the group chat. And when I ended up checking the group chat later, there was 60 messages I hadn't read.
Yeah, I think I was involved in that a little bit as well.
But just trying to make plans with Albie. And it was cumbersome.
Yeah, Albie ended up making reservations for dinner at 3 different restaurants, and I'm reading that, I'm like, what?
And we ended up at one that there was no reservation for, by the way.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened to these reservations they made, but so they were making plans, but they didn't tune us in on those plans.
Right.
Nor did those plans actually end up being what happened. Nor was there any plan for, okay, but it's 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Where are we meeting and what are we doing? And because we needed to put a destination in the GPS. We had the theater in there, but we don't want to go to the theater right now. The show's not till 7:30. We're going to go hang out. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little nerve-wracking, this about half-hour drive that we're I don't know where I'm going, what are we doing? And then
not helped by the fact that our GPS was dropping out.
Yeah.
Because of the bad signal.
It was interesting. So we finally decided to, we're just going to meet Albie and Serenity outside of their hotel. And the GPS didn't want to take us there. That was its own whole side story, but we got there eventually. So there we go. We met Albie and Serenity.
Yeah, take my awkwardness with meeting Brian and up it by about 1,000.
Oh, really?
That's how I felt at that moment. I gave Serenity a handshake. Now, she's 11 years old, and I'm giving her... That kind of reminds me of when I first worked at a daycare, and I was meeting the kids for the first time, and I shook one of the kids' hands, and Marcus, the person who got me the job, started laughing at me for shaking a kid's hand. Yeah, he was basically laughing at me for that. But yeah, at the start, I was feeling really awkward because,
You just started all over.
Yeah, basically.
Now, it's funny because for me, I had the opposite experience.
Yeah. Well, you spent 14 hours with him on a podcast.
That's true. That's true.
That's an experience I haven't had.
Okay, I see that.
Yeah.
I mean, but I haven't spent 14 hours podcasting with Brian, but I feel like I'm pretty good friends with both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I did have that weirdness with Brian, but I didn't with Albie. So
No?
I got a hug from him. I got a hug from Serenity. And I did not experience that same little adjustment period.
No?
Now, it might just be because my brain was broken because I hadn't slept.
Yeah.
So maybe it like just wasn't acting in the same let's filter it way.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I didn't have that experience at all. Immediately, it felt like we've hung out 100 times.
Yeah.
I did not feel like I was meeting someone I never met before. At all. Like, not even for a second. It was weird that it wasn't weird.
Interesting.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, I noted how weird it was that it didn't feel weird.
Gotcha.
But then our next dilemma comes where you and I both had to use the bathroom.
Yes.
You know, because, well, you had a coffee. I just have a weak bladder.
Yeah.
Where are we going to go to the bathroom?
Mm-hmm.
And our next plan was we're getting back in the car already 2 minutes later, and we're going to go to some park. And you asked Albie, is there a bathroom there? Because I need to use the bathroom. I'm glad you were like, you needed that, because I needed to use the bathroom. So, okay, we're going to go to the park and use the bathroom. There's no bathroom at the park.
Yeah, he suggests that the public bathroom is behind some trees, which, you know, I didn't want to do, but it's okay for me.
Yeah, that wasn't going to work for me.
Right.
It wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, no.
I needed to find a bathroom.
Right.
I desperately needed to find a bathroom. So our next hour was a little awkward for me because I'm like, when are we going to find a bathroom?
In the meantime, I'm recording things. I'm trying to get some.
Yeah, so we went to this beautiful park and we had a great time.
Yeah. He's recording stuff and I'm recording him recording stuff and he's recording me recording stuff.
He's recording you, recording him, recording you.
Yeah. I'm in.
Meanwhile, I forgot to touch my phone.
Yeah.
The last picture I took was at that rest stop in Vermont.
Yeah, see, the thing
I forgot to touch my phone the entire time we were in New Hampshire. I don't know what happened to me. Again, my brain had broken at this point.
So, I'm supposed to be taking stuff, video and pictures and stuff like that. You were also supposed to be doing that, and so is Adam.
Yeah, we had tasked him with helping us capture the day.
But Adam is messed up.
He
He's
didn't
totally
sleep.
exhausted.
He was
He's
sick.
not feeling too good.
He was not himself on this trip.
No.
He was just kind of sitting quietly in the corner. It's funny because we watched with my mom the Quantum Leap Podcasts video that they put out about our day, and she's like, I've never seen Adam so quiet. I can't believe it. Like, what is going on?
Right, yeah.
He was not himself. And part of it's because he doesn't know these people, like, even peripherally. You know, he has no idea what's going on or who these people are or what we're doing. And he was just kind of letting us do our thing.
Right.
But also, he was not feeling well.
Yeah, he was not feeling well. He hadn't slept the previous night, really, at all, that much. And he had spent quite a bit of time driving, so...
Yeah. About 4 hours we were in the car instead of 2.5.
And on top of that, he had an earlier start that he's accustomed to.
Right.
So
yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah.
He had a day.
Yeah.
So Serenity opened presents I brought for her. I brought her a little pink quartz rock that had her name on it that I found in Philadelphia when I was there last month.
And I filmed some of that.
And I brought her a bead set for her birthday. And so she opened her presents, and that was nice. And then I had Albie and Serenity sign my Beyond the Mirror image book, which I had Brian do the night before when we were recording. I had him sign my book then because that was one less thing we had to do on Saturday. But so they signed it. So I've got all updated signatures now.
Yeah.
Now we've got Scott Bakula,
Yep.
Matt Dale, Christopher DeFilippis.
Did you get a second autograph?
No, I didn't. I figured I had it already.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've got Albie and Serenity and Brian. So there's 6 signatures in my book now.
Yeah, it's like a yearbook.
It is. That's what I said. It's my Quantum Leap yearbook at this point. Like, it's got all these.
I should get something like that, but I don't want anybody talking about how I should avoid birds, as I had in my junior year. And yeah, okay, so...
But look, I just gave him because I don't know this story.
Okay.
Story time.
All right.
Story within the story.
Junior year, I missed my bus. I end up having to walk to school. It was about a mile. And on my way, I feel something fall on my head. And I think it's a raindrop. And I get to school. And, I had several conversations with people, including the person I was going to the prom with that year, Jess Tiska. And I get to class, and my then best friend, who now doesn't talk to me anymore, but we won't get into that. But he mentions like, Dave, you have bird shit in your hair. So that little drop I felt in my hair was bird crap.
Okay.
From a bird, and
this
all I
ended
heard,
up in your yearbook?
yes, every like all bunch of signatures from that yearbook that year reads, "Hey, watch out for those birds." Anyway, that's the story. Like,
Okay.
yeah. So that's
So now you have a fear of yearbooks.
No, I have a fear of birds crapping on my head. And,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about spiny caterpillars? Because that's what we experienced this day in the park.
I have one on video.
Yeah, so there was these little caterpillars.
They were just trying to make friends with you.
I don't know. They were getting a little close, and there were other bugs too. Like there was a tick that was a little concerning. There was some little spiders. And
Are you sure
an
you got rid of
ant.
that thing and that you're not going to have like
I'm
Lyme
not
disease?
sure. No,
Okay.
I didn't find it. I don't know where it went.
You should have had Adam like detail check.
That was the plan. It never happened though.
No.
We never did a tick check.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, there were a lot of bugs in the park.
Mm-hmm.
And then Christopher and his wife Laura and their dog Penny arrived. They had been out doing their thing. So we hadn't seen them yet. Again, we met Christopher in February when we went to the Connector. Check out our 100th episode video for all of that.
Yeah, it's funny because we did meet him and we spent some time in line with him, but this was a I wouldn't say better experience.
We didn't meet as friends.
Right.
The first time.
Yeah.
We met as he was like, "Oh yeah, I've heard of you."
Right.
And that was about it.
And
a lot's changed for us since early February.
Right. And it definitely, absolutely. Like it's been a crazy ride. Like the this year, and like before I never got a chance to meet Matt Dale.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, or like I didn't really get a chance to know him like you did. And
well, I mean, I wasn't close with Matt. We chatted.
Yeah.
We were on our way to being friends.
Which is more than where I was at.
He was nice, and
Yeah.
he was into the Quantum Leap podcast.
Yeah.
And he talked to us like we were podcasters.
Right.
And not like crazy weird people. And he was...
And it turns out we're both. But
he was, he was helping us with trying to get screeners, and he was, helping direct us on who to talk to and what to do, and always had nice advice. And he was friendly and sweet, and this is something I don't know if I said this to you before, but like sometimes I feel a little guilty that we have this friendship with these people now because it all stemmed from Matt's passing.
yeah, I mean, that is very true. Like, I think Matt's passing was definitely...
It was the catalyst for us getting involved.
Yeah. More into this
all
this
of these
community.
people.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it would have happened anyways, but with Matt's help.
Right.
Not with his absence.
Now...
And that's sad.
Yeah, it is. Now, my point in bringing that up in the first place is I'm glad that I didn't miss out similarly to have a chance to have a relationship with these people.
Yeah.
I got a little taste of life, which I've been missing for quite some time.
Yeah, it was a great day.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
a great weekend.
Yeah. And getting to know Chris more.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'd only met him briefly in February, and I don't talk to Chris. He's not really on Facebook.
Right, yeah.
I've had a few interactions with him, but I mean, I've never podcasted with him, only with, Albie and the after show people. Like, I wouldn't say we're like friends, like we know each other, right? But in this day, like we were hanging out like we're all best friends.
Right.
And we got to know Chris better, a lot better.
Yeah.
In this day. And it's like, hey, he's a person too. That's what it was.
And not only that, but they started to get to know me a little better.
Right.
Which is not something I typically allow, which is kind of an impediment to making friends. But, I mean, like, I can have an entire conversation with you and get to know all about you, where you learn maybe a tiny fraction about me.
Yeah.
Because that's all I will give you. Mm-hmm. Because I am an awkward doofus. And I don't necessarily like to... How should I put this? I don't necessarily like to reveal the full extent to which I am kind of a disastrous human being.
I got you.
So I kind of hold back on a lot of things because I don't necessarily want to talk about that and have you look down on me for the fact that, I'm not exactly where I think I should be in life. So I think that you will have the same judgment of me.
And I think a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And and I did start to let people in on that a little bit more, which is kind of big for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job.
No, thank you. Anyway.
So yeah, we're at the park still. We took some more photos. Now that Christopher's there, some group photos. And we began walking to town. Serenity was giving a tour of the world-famous everything in Peterborough. We were looking for the world-famous bathroom.
Yes. By this point, me and you really need to go.
Like, I don't care what anything is. Where is a bathroom? The world-famous bathroom did not exist.
No.
Everybody, the whole group's like, oh yeah, there's public bathrooms everywhere.
Right.
Where?
Right.
Find one. There was not any. I don't know what they did all day the day before, but it was not find bathrooms.
Mm-hmm.
So
I guess that wasn't their priority.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I do have a weak bladder. It's a condition, all right? I have to use the bathroom a lot. Anywhere I go, that's the first thing is like, where's the bathroom?
Right, yeah.
I go in a restaurant. Every restaurant I go to, I know exactly where the bathroom is. Going to New York City, half of the plan is where can I stop to use the bathroom? Because you have to plan for it.
It's like a police officer or a military person who has to know where all the exits are.
Sure.
Yeah.
But we're in this town now, and there was no bathrooms. So we're trying to get into this restaurant for dinner, even though they had multiple reservations. We're trying to get into this other one that they didn't have a reservation at. I didn't really get the details on what any of that was about. But while we're waiting for a table for dinner, we ended up going to Cooper's Hill, which was a pub. And Chris was like, I'm going to buy everybody a drink.
Yes.
So he's like, we're going to go there, and then you can use their bathroom because we're customers now.
Right.
So he bought us a very expensive bathroom trip. So we got to use the bathroom, and I felt human again. So that was good.
You were out first, and you had ordered a White Russian.
Yes.
And then I came out and felt jealous and decided to order the same thing.
I wasn't planning on drinking alcohol on this trip.
Neither was I.
Since we're hanging out in the middle of the day. Like, if we were hanging out after the show, that would have, like, been in my mind. But it wasn't a plan. And suddenly they're like, let's buy a drink. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go roll along with it. I'm like, I don't know if this is a good idea.
No, we both thought it was a bad idea.
So, I mean, you guys probably don't know this, but me and Dave both are very lightweights. Neither of us drink.
Yeah, my 11-year-old daughter can drink under the table. No, don't worry. I have not tried that. You don't need to call child services on me. But yeah, we're thinking maybe this is not the greatest idea.
It was either going to be a really good idea or a really terrible idea.
Now, it turned out to be a great idea.
Yeah, it worked.
It loosened me the heck up. Like,
neither of us did anything embarrassing.
Yeah.
Nobody passed out.
I started getting more social and more talking and more actually involved in things. And of course...
I think it went okay.
Yeah.
Nobody told us otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody that is listening to this that was there that day has a different take on that, please share.
I think it was a net positive.
Yeah,
absolutely. That we got a little tipsy. And we had this amazing time just chatting with these people in a bar.
Yeah.
Like in a pub. Like Serenity was there. It's not a bar. They serve food.
Right.
But we didn't get... we did. We got pretzel bites, but we didn't get a meal there.
Serenity probably could have drunk me on the table.
I don't know about that.
No,
she didn't drink. She had a soda.
Yes.
So did Albie. He didn't drink either.
No.
He doesn't drink.
No? Okay.
But Chris did, and we did, and Brian did. Adam didn't, because he was driving and already didn't feel good. So
responsible
he had
of him.
soda.
Yeah.
And he spent most of this hour in the bathroom.
Yes.
But...
yeah, he did get out in time to have a soda.
And to take pictures. We took some more great, amazing group photos. Mm-hmm. We had a lot of great group photos. I didn't get individual photos with anybody, and I'm really sad about that.
I did.
I saw your photos, and I was like, oh, why didn't I do that?
Right.
I would love to have photos with all these people, other than, like, the whole group.
Yeah.
And I missed out on doing that. Mm-hmm. I don't know what happened. Again, my brain didn't work. So then we finished up there, and we went to another pub. We went to Harlow's Pub to have dinner.
Yes.
The place they're trying to get a table at. Now, the whole idea was we're trying to get a table outside because Chris's wife and their dog was going to join us. So we needed an outside table for that. And also a place that serves vegan food for because Serenity's vegan. So they figured this is the best place. We're going to go there. They couldn't get a table. That's what we've been waiting for. Table still wasn't ready for us by the time we got there, like an hour later. So we did have to wait a little while longer. But finally we did get a table, and we went and sit outside. And at this point, the buzz was wearing off.
Yeah.
I think I started feeling a little awkward again at the dinner table.
I wasn't feeling awkward. It was definitely wearing off, and I definitely was tempted to get another drink, which you talked me out of, and that was a good idea. Because I didn't need to be crawling around when I was trying to talk to Scott Bakula again. But during this dinner, which took forever to get.
It took about an hour and a half to get our food after we ordered it.
Right.
To the point where we were worried that we weren't going to have time to even start eating before we had to leave for the show.
And Chris, being the voice of reason, said, hey, calm down. It's going to work out. It'll be fine. And he was right.
I mean, it was fine, but it also was rushed.
Yeah.
Like, by the time we got our food, everybody's just no more talking. I was like, okay, food contest. Who can finish first? Because we got to leave in 5 minutes.
Meanwhile, Albie's passing the phone around like he did in Cooper's Hill, which was a sponsor of Man of La Mancha. Yes. And by the way, I have a card up there now, hanging on the wall. So
at Harlow's.
Oh yeah, Harlow's. Okay.
I wonder if they left it there.
I hope so. But yeah.
We should ask Suzanne to go look for it.
Oh yeah. Okay. She can go on a little scavenger hunt.
Yeah.
So Albie's passing the camera around
like 6 times.
Right. And one of the times I'm like, okay, what are we doing? I just did this. Like, what am I supposed to be saying? And I start talking, and then Adam's next to me laughing at me. I don't know why. But one of the things that I ended up talking to Chris more. I ended up relaxing.
You were sitting next to him. I noticed that you were getting a little chummy.
And, I asked him what he does, and he tells me, he's part of, in some medical field. And then he asked me what I do. Now, I don't necessarily like answering that question, especially to someone who's more established in their life.
To a professional,
right? A professional who wrote a book that I read a long time ago. Yeah. He's the author of Foreknowledge, by the way. Not just he's the co-host of the Quantum Leap podcast, but so I'm like, well, and I start getting insecure, and I'm like, well, I'm not that impressive. I'm a Dunkin' Donuts employee, and both him and his wife are like, well, basically they're making me feel better about it. And then they ask me how I got involved in podcasting, and I end up talking about that, and like my passion for that. My job is not my identity. My job is just the thing I do to not starve to death.
Right.
This is what I do. This is my passion. Like, it's just unfortunate that at this time I can't make a whole lot of money at it. But this is my identity. Like, I'm a podcaster, I'm a father. That's what I am, not my job.
Absolutely. My
job is just what I do to earn money so that I don't die, that I can pay bills. And, it was great being able to have this conversation with the two of them and everybody else that was at this table. It was like...
Yeah, well, I think my conversations were more on the other side of the table.
Yeah.
I was kind of going back and forth, but when you got 8 people at a table, you got to have more than one conversation happening.
But I've already had the chance to get to know Brian and get to know Albie a little bit. I haven't really gotten the chance to know Chris.
Right.
So, like I said, everything that led up to Man of La Mancha was fantastic. It was well worth the experience. The whole thing was well worth it just because of this experience with all of them and getting a chance to meet them.
I mean, not to downplay seeing Scott Bakula perform.
I mean, that was still amazing.
Meeting Scott Bakula
again,
but we did that already.
Right? Yeah,
we didn't do this already. This is our first time meeting these people, and I mean, in Christopher's case, getting to know him.
Right,
and it was amazing. It was a super amazing day.
Right, yeah.
And you're absolutely right. It completely overshadowed the play. Just being able to say hi to these people. Yeah. So we had our meal. I wasn't impressed with my food.
No.
Even after the wait. The food was well, I won't get into details, but I wasn't impressed.
No.
But the Quantum Leap podcast graciously paid for our meal.
Yes.
They paid for the whole tab at the table, and that was... I was like, why are you doing that for us?
Right.
We're nobody special. You don't need to treat us.
Right.
But they felt like that was the right thing to do, and that was just so amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're not just some guys that they're, I guess we'll hang out with them because they want to hang out and we'll be cordial. No, they're accepting us as their people and their friends, that they want to pay money to hang out with us.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So thank you guys again for paying for the meal, and it was just such a gracious gesture. And it was unexpected and unnecessary, but it was just wow, that's something. That you bought it. I mean, Chris bought us a drink, and now they bought us this entire meal, and I don't want it to end. We're having so much fun. It's do we gotta go to the play? Are we sure it's 7:00?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, we want to keep the party going. Really.
Yeah. But we had to rush now to the theater. And it's funny because Albie was going to follow us, which I don't know why, because he's the one who's already been there before.
Right.
But I think he was a little unsure of himself driving, because I think he didn't drive the night before Christopher. Christopher now wasn't going to the play.
Right.
He did meet up with us at the theater after the play, but he wasn't going to see the show again. He's already seen it. Albie and Serenity are going. They had to go to the hotel first to change, and we were all going to leave at the same time, but my husband decides to get up and go to the bathroom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right at the end there, I'm like, oh, no, Adam,
and we're just like, listen, like, they've seen Adam time already, but it hasn't broken our day yet. It's about to break our day.
Right, yeah.
We're about to miss getting to the show in time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm panicking.
Right, and I'm similarly, like, I'm trying not to outwardly act like how annoyed I am at this moment at him. But, you know, I'm like, and he's like, oh yeah, we're telling him, you need to be quick. And he's like, oh yeah, I will be. And I'm like, I don't believe you. But I move aside, I let him go, and I'm just, okay, and I'm telling Albie that, like, you might want to just go.
So that's what I said. I was like, Albie, you guys just go. Because you got to make a stop.
I tell Brian, if you want to go with them, we won't take offense at all.
Yeah, that's where I was getting to, is Albie was like, okay, anybody who wants to come with me? Because at this point, like, you can see the fear on our faces that we're going to get locked out of this show.
Right, yeah.
And he's like, anyone who wants to come with me, you can.
I was tempted to take him
and,
off
I couldn't leave.
Right,
if I left my husband, he'd have been pretty upset with me. If I left to go in somebody else's car to get to the theater. It also wouldn't have went well because, like, I had our tickets in my bag in the car. Yeah.
So Adam doesn't get to go to the show, and
so just Albie and Serenity ended up leaving, and then I don't know where Brian disappeared to. I think he went into the bathroom after Adam.
Yeah, he went to go change. Into his red polo shirt. It was an actual polo shirt.
So
he had polo on it.
So I went to the car. Adam's in the car finally. Like, we're close to the wire here in time. We don't know where this place is. We got to get there, and I don't know where Brian is at this point. I sent you to find him. I'm like, find him and make sure he gets to our car.
Yeah, I basically just stood outside the restaurant and kind of just kept a watch.
Because our car was parked back at the park. We had to walk to where the car was, which wasn't too far, but still it was like very discombobulating, like, we gotta go, you guys. What are we doing?
So, yeah, I wait for Brian. Brian comes out, and then I show him where the actual car is, because he's going in the other direction.
I apologize that we're getting way detailed on this. Way more detailed than my notes, even.
I even shared totally irrelevant stories that have nothing to do with anything.
Anyways, we drive towards the theater, and earlier in the day, Serenity had told us this story about their experience driving to the theater the night before, and she described this road as this super scary driveway.
I don't know, maybe they took a different route or something.
No, they were talking about this road because the road doesn't have striping on it.
Gotcha.
And I don't think they're used to being in a rural area like New England, where you have these kind of roads that don't have striping on it.
Right.
And it reminds me of Genesis. We've got Sam recommending striping on the road.
Yes.
So we had that kind of moment where we were on this road with no striping. We time traveled a little bit to this rural New Hampshire town, on this road trying to get to this theater. And on our way, this pack, I don't think pack's the right word, of deer. What's that group of deer called?
I don't know.
Whatever group of deer. There was like 5 or 6 deer right on the side of the road. Like, they wanted to cross in front of us.
If you know what a group of deer is, put it in the comments. Anyway.
Yeah, so these deer, and it was like so many of them, and they wanted to cross, and we didn't end up waiting for them to cross. We didn't end up hitting them, but it was like, wow, look at that.
Right.
Like, they were right there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we were in nature on the scary road. I didn't think it was a scary road, but Serenity thought it was a scary road. Finally, we got to the theater. Went to the bathroom. Barely made it in before they closed the doors. Like, I passed out the tickets, so we each had our tickets in our hands, so we could go from the bathroom right into the theater and find our seats. So me, you, and Brian ended up meeting up like at the where we were in line to hand our tickets, and Adam wasn't around because he's in the bathroom again.
Yes.
He got into the theater moments before they closed the door. He almost got locked out. Yeah. Like, they weren't like they were, this was the doors closed and you're out of luck.
Right.
People that got up during the show and left did not come back to their seats. They weren't allowed back in. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they were allowed back in the back or whatever, but they did not come back to their seats. Someone behind me left and didn't come back, and Brian said someone sitting behind him left and didn't come back. So, like, that's a thing.
Right.
Adam may have gotten locked out if he was 30 seconds later.
Wow.
He didn't even get a program because, like, the table was cleaned up. They were done. So yeah, we barely made it.
Yep.
But then we saw the play.
Yeah. So yes, the play, Man of La Mancha. You know, it's funny. I was not really familiar with the Man of La Mancha play or story.
Me neither. I've never read Don Quixote. I've never seen Man of La Mancha. Saw Catch a Falling Star.
Of course.
We know that.
Yep.
Adam tried explaining it to us one day.
You did.
And it went way over my head. He used words.
He tried to talk and say words?
He uses words that don't always make sense in my head sometimes.
Yeah.
He explained it in an Adam way.
Yeah, of course.
And I didn't get it.
Right.
And I think after watching it, I kind of get it.
Yeah, I mean, I get the
there's
general
a lot.
idea.
There's a lot of layers and a lot going on. And I was like, oh, I get what he was saying now. Like, but at the same time, I'm like, still, like, this whole thing is just like, I spaced out a few times.
It's,
you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've had a long couple of days
right.
at this point.
We've had a lot getting us to this moment. And we're watching Scott Bakula and his wife, Chelsea Field, and it's still just such a meta, crazy moment that this day is existing. And a few times, I think I forgot to pay attention during some of this. Yeah,
I was definitely mentally falling asleep at certain points, which has nothing to do with the play. The play was amazing. It was just that it'd been a really super long couple of days, and I was already close to my bedtime as it was. And yeah, I mean, like, and then after a certain point, I woke up again. Yeah, and then was awake for the rest of the play. But yeah.
So you had a similar experience to me where it was like, and I felt like, I was like, this feels really long. It was 2 hours. I mean, that's not terribly long. 2 hours with no intermission. But at one point, I'm just like, are we almost done yet? Because I'm so tired. I want to pay attention, and I'm having such a hard time doing it. And I was really uncomfortable in my seat.
Yes.
I'm always uncomfortable in seats because I'm short and my feet don't sit properly on the floor. So I'm kind of uncomfortable, and I'm like so tired, and I yawned a few times, and I'm like trying to hide it. I'm like, I don't want anyone to think that I'm bored. I'm not bored. I just haven't slept in 2 days.
Bakula sees you from the stage, and he's like, oh, that person is bored by my performance. I'm just so hurt.
No, the play was great.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Scott Bakula stars as the lead.
He's actually two different characters.
Well, everybody's two characters in this play. That's how it works. But he's Cervantes, the author of the
play
Don Quixote.
Yes.
He's the author of the book Don Quixote. He's playing a real person. And then within the play, he plays Don Quixote in the play that he's performing within the play. And we all know who Scott Bakula is, right? You've heard of him.
Yes, I may have heard of him.
So let's run through his credits.
Let's see, Star Trek Enterprise.
He's that guy that was in that one show that one time.
Yeah, that
where
show
he
a long time ago.
traveled, I think.
Something along those lines. Yeah. I don't know what the name of that show is. I'm blanking.
So Scott Bakula.
Yes.
Again, we get to see Scott Bakula live on stage for the second time, and playing with him in this play is his lovely wife, Chelsea Field,
who I'm not as familiar with, but I believe he was with him on NCIS New Orleans.
Yes, she was in 21 episodes of NCIS New Orleans. She started out, I think, and I haven't watched this series, but she started as a recurring character at some point and then became a regular, like, in the last season. She played Tila in the Masters of the Universe live action film, which the guys were geeking out about. It means nothing to me, but okay. She actually auditioned to play Captain Janeway on Star Trek Voyager.
Oh, that I did not know.
I found that tidbit when I was looking her up. She auditioned for that. Didn't get it, of course, but that's interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah.
Given all of our interest in the fact that Albie and Chris are currently doing Star Trek episodes, and I think they're doing pilots, so they might have already talked about Star Trek Voyager.
They just recently posted the pilot of Voyager. Yeah. I think it's one of their most recent videos,
So, by all means, go check them out.
Check them out at Trexploration.
Yes.
That's their other podcast.
Yep.
Aside from the Quantum Leap podcast.
You know what I found extremely meta at this point is the whole idea, the song Impossible Dreams.
Right.
Because we are living the impossible dream.
We are.
You know, not only are we meeting Scott Bakula for the second time, which if you told my 11-year-old self, or maybe
told your 30-year-old self,
yes, if that would ever happen, twice in the same year, I would have told you that you were nuts. But not only that, but we were also spending time with all these amazing people and getting to know them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the theme of impossible dreams in this play, you know,
Yeah.
it's very similar to our own experiences.
There was meta upon meta upon meta upon meta upon meta. Mm-hmm. So many things between the play and the performance and our weekend and the adventure and all the people here, including Scott and Chelsea, and including all of the people in the audience with us, even including people in, like, after the show, we're in the lobby and there's a lot of people there. I'm recognizing people that we don't know, I've never talked to. I'm recognizing people that were in the audience at the Connector. Like, I'm recognizing people from the Scott Bakula fandom. Mm-hmm. And that's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, we're in New Hampshire.
Right.
So much of just, like, unbelievable, like, is this real? Is this happening?
I feel like I died years ago, and that this is just some kind of, like...
It feels scripted.
Yeah.
It feels fake. Mm-hmm. It doesn't feel real.
Yeah, no, but it is.
Are we in a play within a play?
Maybe, perhaps.
Oh. All right, so tell me about the play. What did you think? Did you understand it?
Oh, yeah.
Because like I said, I half understood.
Yeah, basically.
I feel a little, like, embarrassed to say that, but...
basically, the Cervantes guy, during the Inquisition, which, a long time ago.
Oh, you're going to actually explain it?
Sure,
Oh, we're going to sound like big idiots now, but go for it.
Yeah, okay, so... he's gotten himself into trouble for trying to tax a church.
Yeah.
And now he's going to prison.
He's in prison awaiting trial, awaiting the Inquisition to judge him. And
in the meantime, the prisoners are giving him a trial.
Right, because they just want to beat him up and take all his stuff.
Right.
And they want to take this manuscript and burn it in the fire. Mm-hmm. The manuscript for Don Quixote, which we know survives this because it's an actual book that exists. Mm.
And so he, as part of his defense, decides to put on this play. So it's a play within a play.
And he gets all of the prisoners to help him and act out these roles and put on the play of Don Quixote.
Yes.
Which it itself is about somebody who's not Don Quixote pretending to be Don Quixote.
Right. So many levels. And it's quite an entertaining play.
Yeah.
So
what about the rest of the cast?
Oh, well, they're all great. Chelsea Fields. Chris was suggesting that to give us our opinion of Chelsea Fields.
No S.
Field, my bad.
You're adding an S everywhere today.
I guess so. And I'm not really sure why. He never really explained it to me.
Yeah, we never got back to that conversation, did we?
No, but I thought she was
great.
Yeah.
Yeah. She had a real stage presence.
Now, Chris is expecting, a big Broadway play.
Yeah. So after the play, and we'll talk a little bit more about this, but we got to talk to everybody and record something for the Quantum Leap podcast, and he was like, I don't know, it wasn't, like, the best. Well, because you live in New York.
Right.
You're used to seeing Broadway. He's used to going to operas.
Yeah.
This is regional theater in New Hampshire.
So this is a little bit off Broadway.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit off Broadway.
Like 300 miles or so off Broadway.
Just like the Syracuse stage, where it was performed in Catch a Falling Star.
That's another meta level right there.
Yeah, it was an off-Broadway performance.
Yeah.
Chelsea Field took on the role of Nicole, Sam's piano teacher.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And, I mean, like, it was amazing to me. Like, her performance, all the actors were great. Chris really liked the belly dancers. I am in agreement with that.
Yeah.
Not for any performance particular reasons. But they were great
I thought
too.
you'd like that. Now, there were two.
There were two, yes.
Which one in particular did you like?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just go with that. I what were their names again? You have the program.
I have the program. You want me to find the actress's names?
Sure, why not?
They're in here somewhere. Here's the guy that played the barber. Martin Bonventre. Albion Serenity got to meet him outside the theater. After they saw the show 3 times, they actually met him when they went to breakfast. He was there, or something like that. They got a picture with him, but not at the theater. Let's see. There's Chelsea. There's a lot of people in this play.
So you know what? Never mind that. Don't do that.
Here.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
That's Abby Brown.
Yeah.
Played one of the girls. As soon as she came out, I thought you were going to love her. And I think this is the other one. the redhead.
Okay.
Is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Let's see. Maria Mucci. I probably said that wrong. I apologize.
Well, I wasn't the only one that had, because, like, I said in the Quantum Leap podcast, me and Chris apparently have very similar tastes.
I think every one of them agreed with you.
Oh, well, there we go. There we go.
We had a very male opinion of the room.
Of course. I mean, you guys were outnumbered. It was just you and Serenity.
But I thought you'd like the redhead more. That was my take.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was tempted afterwards because I was standing right by them to like, hey, can I have a picture with you? But I never had the guts to do it. I was more nervous about that idea than I was about like trying to get pictures with Scott Bakula.
Well, Albie and Serenity got their autograph.
Oh, okay.
And a bunch of the other actors on their playbill. I didn't bother to get anybody's autograph. I didn't want to bother Scott more than we had to. I already was trying to get like multiple pictures with him.
Right.
So yeah, after the show, we went to the lobby, and there were so many people there. So we were supposed to have a hookup.
Yeah.
Brian had talked to Jay Schwartz.
Yes, who
which
we
is
met.
Scott's publicist. We've met him. I've talked to him. Like, I have a private message chat with him, but I wasn't going to try because I'm just like this random person that he's interacted with a couple of times. Brian has, a 20-year relationship with him. So I was like, okay, Brian, Albie, you guys handle it. Between the two of you, one of us get us a meeting with Scott Bakula. That was the plan. One of them has to make this happen. The night before he came, so I think Thursday, Brian says, guess what? I heard back from Jay finally. Scott's going to come out to see us. We're going to get this like personal little meeting. And it was so exciting. We're like, yay, you did it. You made it. You pulled it off. Well, turns out Scott comes out every night after the performance. And the whole theater was waiting for him.
Right.
There was like 100 people in this room.
So there is not a private little meeting.
There was no private little meeting. We were right near the door, though, because we knew exactly where to stand, because Albie and Serenity had already done this. And then Chris came back, too. He didn't see the show, but he did wander into the lobby at the right moment. That was their plan. And so he was able to get a picture with us. So we got group photos of all of us with Scott Bakula, plus one of just the three of us, Quantum Leap the three of us, Korman Productions. Yep. With Scott Bakula.
And we also took pictures with Albie, group picture. You just mentioned that. So moving on.
We took pictures.
Yeah.
We took pictures with Scott Bakula again. The point of this was I didn't have him sign anything because I already have his autograph in my Beyond the Mirror image.
I did shake his hand.
I mean, I probably should have just had my program signed because that would be cool, but I didn't want to occupy more of his time than we already were. Yeah. We had a big group of people, and there were lots of other groups of people waiting.
I did shake my hand and tell him my name was Dave. He repeated it back to me, so he heard me. I kind of felt like I blew that moment a little bit because I wanted to do a little bit more.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I think we did better than we did the first time.
Yeah.
So if we get a third chance, which I think we might, maybe we can actually like say the name of our show.
Yeah.
That would be a great goal.
But I mean, the first time I did tell him that he was I don't have many heroes, but he's one of them. I got a chance to say that to him the first time.
Yeah.
So that was amazing in itself the last time. So it was gravy. This was gravy on something we had already done.
Yeah, right.
And we're gonna get a chance to do again, maybe, perhaps.
So what was I gonna say? I lost my train of thought. Signatures, pictures, people. This isn't what I was going to say, but I just found it in my notes. We were wearing our badges.
Oh, yes.
Our Korman Productions badges, which you guys laughed at me for making. It worked.
A couple people did ask about it.
It worked. As soon as we got to the theater, before we even saw the show, when I went to the bathroom, people in the bathroom were asking me, like, oh, who are you? Are you here to do something on the show? And I was like, yeah, we're recording a podcast. And we're here with the Quantum Leap podcast. They know who they are. They don't know who we are, but everybody knows who the Quantum Leap podcast is. So people were asking me about my badge. I handed out a few different cards of our cards to people. It worked. It worked. So it was nice. We were mingling.
Right.
And telling people about us and what we do. And I mean, I hope some of those people, maybe they're here now listening. That'd be amazing. Same thing with Quantum Leap podcast. They're running into people who know them. They're surprised still when people know who they are, which I don't get why they're surprised that a room full of Scott Bakula fans know who they are. But
right.
That's what I was getting at is I think Scott probably realized we're with them, the Quantum Leap podcast, because we all took our picture together.
Right.
Like, I think he noticed at that point, like, oh, we're we're with them.
Right.
And he knows who they are, at least peripherally, right?
Yeah.
Now, Brian went up and shook Scott's hand, and he said Brian Green, and Scott instantly, you saw, he knew who he was.
Yep.
So, I mean, he did know through Jay he was supposed to be meeting with Brian. So he had that in his head, but he remembers Brian for sure. Like,
right.
there was this
absolutely.
instant spark of recognition because they worked together doing the whole convention thing, you know? So, and that was nice, I thought, because we'd asked, like, oh, is he going to remember? And he's like, I don't know. But he did. He clearly knew exactly who Brian was. And I think that giant smile that we got in our group photo is because he knew who Brian was. He had his hand, Scott put his arm around Brian in the group photo, and here it is, our group podcast photo with Scott, and he just has this giant smile. And I mean, he always has a smile on. He's very gracious, but it felt more like, yeah, we're somebody. We're here, like, we're not just anybody. We're this group of people who, you know, are here because we're dedicating ourselves to talking about you.
Right.
Like, I feel like he realized, oh, this is the podcast group. I mean, maybe I'm making that up, but I felt like that happened.
I mean, if that's your interpretation, then I'm more than willing to go along with it.
Anything else to say about the show?
The show.
And the experience after the show in the theater?
I can't really think of anything.
Okay, so we had previously agreed, we got Adam to agree that we were going to stay for a half hour afterwards to record a quick little podcast with the Quantum Leap podcast.
Yes.
Because we couldn't do it before because we hadn't seen the show yet.
Right.
And the plan originally was we're going to go. We're going to do this. We're going to go. And then, we're going to meet Scott. Well, we're going to stick around for that, but then we're going to go. And then, we're going to do a half-hour show, but then we're going to go.
Right.
And Adam's whole thing was like, yeah, that's fine, but, you know, we're not going to stick around until midnight. And we're like, no, of course not.
Right, yeah.
We didn't end up leaving in the car until 11:50.
That's not midnight.
It was pretty close to midnight. So, yeah, we kind of failed a little bit. But, yeah, it wasn't a half hour. We were longer than that. But it took us 45 minutes just to finish with Scott. And, you know, the whole lobby experience was 45 minutes, which is crazy.
Yes.
And that didn't feel long.
No.
That
felt like 2
in that
minutes.
crowd.
Right.
Okay, so we leave. Our whole group leaves. We're in 3 cars. We go outside. It's dark out.
Yeah.
Now, I think their plan was just to stand in this parking lot at the Peterborough Players and record something. It wasn't going to happen.
Right.
It was pitch dark.
Now, we could have done that because we don't appear on camera that often. So we could have just recorded a voice podcast.
Yeah, but we were with all these people.
Right, yeah.
It's like to record together. Like, that's what we're trying to do is something live. That's the whole... Like, we're in the same room with these people.
Right,
We're not over Zoom.
Right, yeah, exactly.
And then we're like, okay, we're going to do something, but what are we doing? Where are we going? How are we doing this? We don't have any equipment.
Right.
No mics. We got no lighting. We're in a parking lot. There's bugs.
The bugs were pleased to meet us, of course. They were honored to meet the Quantum Leap peeps.
And so I missed the plan at this point. I don't know if the plan was said, but all I heard is we're following Chris.
Right.
And I didn't know where we're following him to.
Right.
And Adam wasn't even sure he was following the right car.
Hey, why are we in a different state? Like, yeah.
But it was the right car. We followed Chris back to their hotel. And we ended up going into Albie and Serenity's room, which was the only place we had access to with, lighting.
Right.
And quietness from the public.
Yeah.
And I don't think they wanted to do that.
No.
But that's where we ended up.
Right.
So it was, I don't know what time it was at this point. 11?
Something like
10:30, 11?
10:30-ish.
And before we even do that, we're in the parking lot because we don't know what's going on. We're like, okay, we're back at their hotel. Chris is there. He's ahead of us. And he's like, I'm going to go to my room and I'll meet you guys in a minute. And we're just like, okay, we're just standing in a parking lot. We don't know what we're doing. Albie's not here yet. We're waiting for him. Brian
decides to
strip in the parking lot. He took his clothes off in the parking lot to change back into his shorts. He was like, I can't be in pants a minute longer. So that was interesting. And I'm just like, what are we doing?
Trying to avoid getting arrested at this point, thanks to Brian.
And then Albie and Serenity came, and they're like, yeah, we're going up to our room after we wait for Serenity to go tidy up a little.
An hour later.
And then we went and recorded this really awkward podcast.
Yeah.
Where we were just standing around a hotel room.
Now,
and Serenity every 30 seconds is touching the camera that we're recording on because it kept like shutting off on our end, and we didn't know it was still recording. Like the screen was turning off, which is weird when you're doing a video.
Mm-hmm. And I've mentioned quite a few times that I'm not good talking off the cuff.
Yeah, we don't do that.
Right,
Look,
no.
I made notes to talk about this.
I mean, I didn't, but yeah, I'm just basically following your lead. And yeah, I need to have detailed notes in front of me
to talk about an episode. Like and even then, like we can't just talk about it.
Right.
We've tried that. We fail. We go like scene by scene. Like we have an order of events that we follow.
Right.
So yeah, we didn't know how to do Quantum Leap podcast style of talking.
Right.
And we're just like, what now? What do you want us to talk about? We don't know how to do that. You're asking me a question. I don't have an answer to any question you're asking me.
What'd you think about the technical aspects of this? And I'm like, yeah. I mean, I think I managed a couple of entertaining moments, but all in all, I was not.
I was not impressed with my performance.
No.
I've watched that video and I'm just like, oh my god, I look terrible. I feel stupid.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't have any answers.
Right.
It was a long day, but.
I mean,
we recorded with the Quantum Leap podcast.
At this point, I think I have to go to the bathroom. I'm super tired, and I have to be somewhat coherent.
Yeah.
And,
And then my husband decides to just sit in the corner behind us.
Yeah.
Now, he was not asked not to participate. He chose not to participate. And he just kind of sat there in the corner, and that was a little weird and awkward.
Yeah. But, fun time.
And it was great.
Yeah.
And it was fun, even though I felt like an idiot. I felt like a bumbling idiot who doesn't know my own name at that point.
Yeah, I felt the same.
Like, who did we just watch? What did we see?
Right.
I don't know anything at this point. Not a word is coming out of my mouth that makes sense.
I feel like an awkward doofus, and after watching it, that's exactly how I look. But that's okay, because that's what I actually am. So it's an accurate portrayal, that's for sure.
But I don't think that they... I don't know. I don't think they regretted having us on their show.
No. And, Brian was preparing our next trip before we even went on our first trip. Before we even leave for New Hampshire, he's looking into,
we didn't get to talking about the next trip yet. We will.
But no, I mean, he's looking for Airbnbs for Washington, D.C. for the Lincoln.
For us.
Yeah, he's planning our vacation before we even leave the house. So I'm guessing he kind of likes us a little bit.
I think so.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, just a little.
And he still continued that conversation after we came back.
Yes.
So we didn't ruin it.
Right. No, absolutely not. We didn't blow our chance. We didn't blow our chance with Brian Green.
Oh, my goodness. So yeah, that happened. We did a recording.
Yep.
And then Albie posted it at 3 a.m.
Yes.
So that was weird. So that's out there. Go check out the Quantum Leap podcast to see that video. It's got some of the stuff we did during the day and this really awkward hotel room podcast that we're talking about.
Yeah.
So after we're done recording, we stayed around for another half hour because we all had to take turns in the bathroom.
Right.
Including the person who takes a half hour. And then we did this really long Italian-style goodbye. A lot of hugs. We did goodbye in the room. We did goodbye.
Serenity did 3 rounds of hugs.
I feel like I got 6 rounds. Yeah. We did in the room, and then we did outside the hotel room door, it was like a motel. We were upstairs. And then we went down the stairs together. We said goodbye at the bottom of the stairs. And then they walked us to our car. And we said goodbye at the car. And
then they drove us back to Connecticut and said goodbye there. No. That didn't
it ended at the car. But it was all of us. We don't want this day to end. That was the feeling.
Yeah.
We have to end this beautiful, perfect day now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And nobody wanted it to end. Except probably Adam, who was like, why are we not in the freaking car yet? But meanwhile, I think we're working on a project Get Albie and Adam to be best friends because they feel like they should be.
Right. Oh, yeah. We were talking about that in the hotel.
Well, in the bathroom, apparently, Adam and I got invited to go to the Star Trek convention next year with them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you crazy
that
I'm going to go to a Star Trek event. But Adam's like, yay, let's go. Yeah. I was like, what, you're asking me to go to an event with our Quantum Leap friends.
Right, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you're the one asking me to do that?
Mm-hmm.
And Serenity looks at me and she's like, I want you to go. And I'm just like, oh, I don't think I want to do that, but that's sweet. And I think Serenity's my new bestie. I told her that when we were getting in the car. Sorry, Dave.
Yeah. That's all right. I'll take second ranking.
And then we got back in the car. And in a true Quantum Leap miracle, we didn't make a single stop.
No, we did not.
And we listened to the Quantum Leap soundtrack in the car at midnight.
Yep.
As we drove back from New Hampshire to Connecticut. And we got back to my house just after 2 a.m.
Yes.
So it was a 16-hour day trip.
Yep.
On top of a night of not sleeping. And then a long day before that of airport pickups and games. And it was a very surreal 48 hours.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think I crashed. I think we all did, just like we've never slept before.
Yeah, I did not wake up at 5:30 in the morning this time around.
Yeah, we slept. Although Brian said he didn't sleep as well the second night. He kept waking up. He slept really good the first night, he said, which I'm a little confused why that's opposite of everybody else. But maybe he's just opposite of everybody else.
I guess so.
So in the morning, you took Brian to the airport.
Yes.
You guys left here at, I don't know what time that was, but you took him away.
Yep.
And it was the end of the weekend for me.
Yep.
How did the airport drop-off go?
It went fine. Yeah, we got there.
No hiccups?
There was no crashes. Brian Green got to the airport alive.
That's good.
Yes.
That you didn't kill him.
Yes, because I would have been really sad if I had. Said it was a pleasure meeting him because absolutely
You helped
was.
him with his giant 5-foot bag.
Yes. Oh yeah, I put that in the car. Yes. I'm like, I had not seen that thing until I was putting it into the car. Yeah. So yeah, that was the end of the trip.
That was the end of the trip for us. Well, it wasn't the end of the trip for Brian because he's got to take an airplane now.
Yep.
And so on his way to Connecticut, it was a straight flight. It took him like an hour and a half, easy peasy. On his way home, he had a layover in Philadelphia, so he had to change planes. His layover got delayed.
The city of brotherly love.
He ended up. I don't have the time frame, but it took him, I want to say, like an extra couple hours to get home. He didn't get home because remember he also had that 3-hour flight or drive from the airport to his house to do. So he didn't get home till like in the evening, Sunday evening. He was traveling all day Sunday. But he doesn't win the award for the worst trip.
No.
But let me back up a second for Sunday, because Sunday, Albie and Serenity still had a whole nother show to go to.
Right. Yep.
They had the third show. They went to the Sunday matinee, which there was a Q&A for, and they stayed for that. He told me he got to ask 2 questions. And I think he recorded the Q&A. I haven't seen that he published that anywhere yet, but I'm sure it's going to be coming out soon, if it's not already out before our video is out. But yeah, check the Quantum Leap podcast, because I'm sure they're going to have more content about this weekend than that one video they dropped about us in a hotel room.
Right.
Including this Q&A in some capacity, I'm sure. But Chris wasn't there. It was just Albie and Serenity, and he did a very Albie thing to do. He forgot to go to the meet and greet. They stayed for the Q&A, and then they left.
Oops.
And forgot there was a scheduled meet and greet.
Right.
Like, on top of, like, their regular, like, yeah, he's leaving the theater so you can catch him type of meet and greet. There was an actual scheduled meet and greet, and he's like, I forgot. So he did not get a third straight day of pictures with Scott Bakula.
I figured at that point that Scott Bakula would remember him.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe they asked him to leave. I don't know. So I'm not sure how that happens, but yeah, he did not stay for the meet and greet. And then they went for a drive, Albie and Serenity. Now, Chris left. Chris and his family headed back Sunday as well. Like, out of town. They're done. They weren't staying till Monday. He had this incident he posted about in the group chat where he thought his car was going to fall off the ferry because it was like hanging off the back end of the ferry to get home. So it sounded like he had some adventures too. But yeah, Albie and Serenity, they're now alone in New Hampshire. The only ones left. I mean, out of our group. I'm sure there were other human beings there.
Yeah, that's sad.
But they somehow survived. They ended up driving to Virginia and Massachusetts that day.
They should have stopped at your house.
That's what I said. I said, if you kept going, you'd have bet you were really close to us. Like, you almost made it to Connecticut if you made it to Massachusetts. Right. He was trying to understand what New England is. Because he didn't know for sure which states were New England, and every time he asked somebody if he was in New England, they just laughed at him, including us. When this conversation happened, we just laughed.
That was back at the bar. I remember that.
But yeah, so they enjoyed their Sunday, stayed one more night in the hotel. Monday morning they check out. That's, I think, when they met the barber actor. Was Monday morning, and they were getting on a flight Monday evening to head home. But they win the award for worst travel experience because their first flight was delayed. We had some weather that day. We felt it here. We had some storms here.
Yeah. But
apparently there was weather in New Hampshire. It delayed their first flight, which resulted in their second flight being delayed overnight.
Oh.
They were supposed to be home. They're supposed to get on their second flight, I want to say 10-something, which would have brought them home about midnight.
Yeah.
Like at the airport. But they didn't end up getting on a flight until like 8 in the morning. Mm-hmm. So they spent the entire night in the airport in Charlotte, North Carolina.
That's pretty bad.
I think it took them 24 hours to get home. They may have been able to drive it.
Right. Yeah, I remember you telling me, like, hey, Albie's supposed to be back by now.
Yeah,
like,
is he okay?
Right.
Anybody heard from him?
Yeah. Did he get swallowed up in the Bermuda Triangle?
I mean, it was close. Now, and I didn't put that in my notes, but Brian, we got to tease him about that because on his flight home on Sunday, he posted a picture. He posted a picture on Facebook that was like, well, they upgraded me to seat 1, and he was sitting like 2 feet from the cockpit. And he had a picture of him, and like, there's the pilot right there.
Right.
And he was like, I don't know if they want me to fly the plane, or they're worried we're gonna, they want me to be the first one to go down with the plane. Mm-hmm. And I was like, we already talked about this. Like, we'd already joked about this. Like, you just got to, your job is to keep them out of the triangle.
Right, yeah. Because we had talked about Ghost Ship.
Yeah, we had just talked to him. He had hosted Ghost Ship with us, if you guys missed that 2 hours ago when we started talking. So yeah, everybody's trips home were bad except for ours.
Yeah, we had the smoothest trip of all
of
them.
We had an interesting trip there, but coming home was piece of cake.
Yeah.
It was just a 2-hour drive like it was supposed to be, and nothing weird happened.
Yeah, I mean, despite the fact that, it did become a bit of a mess getting up there. It took us like 6 hours to get up, do a 2.5-hour drive. It was still better than I expected it to go.
Oh, that's not a good endorsement. So yeah, we all made it back. And then Suzanne started her journey.
Yes.
Suzanne is in Peterborough now as we recorded this. She's going to see Scott Bakula tonight.
Yeah, and she's recorded some stuff talking about her trip. I'm including this after we stop babbling. Basically it's going to be at the end of the video, along with a bunch of credits and some other extra footage. She's in New Hampshire with her husband and son, I believe. And they're staying at this, I don't have the name of it, something Fox bed and breakfast. Okay. Which is full of foxes, which is weird. Lots and lots and lots of fox decor. And we had this fun chat in our group chat last night. She went out to dinner and was surprised to hear that they call subs grinders. Yes, in New Hampshire. And that's what they call them here. It's a New England thing. Yep. Grinder is a sub. Yeah. And it started this really funny debate in our group chat about what do you call these sandwiches? Because most people had never heard the word grinder before, which I thought was hilarious because that's what we call it. Right. So I want to know, anybody listening still, what do you call a sandwich? Yes, you had a poll that I noticed. I did. I put polls up, but nobody answered them, except like our people that are in our group chat. I'm going to pull it up and now again if it. By the way, I answered that poll and I said sub. Well. That's because of Subway. Right. Right. Like, everybody knows what a sub is, I think, because of Subway. Mm-hmm. It's not, my phone's being stupid, so I can't. But as of this morning when I looked, like, there was only, like, us answering it. Like, maybe one or two other people. I didn't really get any consensus. Right. I didn't put it up long enough to get a poll, and probably people were like, what the heck are you talking about, and why is this on my feed? But the people in the group chat thought it was funny, and were giving reactions to it. But yeah, we went through sub, grinder, hoagie, hero, and how those are all different but the same, depending on where you live. Yeah. So anyways, totally random and not important, but it was a fun part of our group chat conversation. Do you think that group chat conversation is going to keep going, or do we have to start a new one? Yeah, because I think it's going to continue into our next meetup. Okay. Yep. So, also, Dennis Freimeyer, Dad to the Future, is heading to the show. So Suzanne's going tonight. Dennis is going tomorrow on Saturday to the show. Gotcha. So I don't know if we're going to get any input from him, but yeah, not everybody made it to the same show, but a whole lot of our people are seeing it. And basically, our next trip.
Which we started planning during this trip.
Yep, Brian was planning it, as I said, before we even left for New Hampshire.
So after finishing up in New Hampshire, Scott is going to Washington, D.C., and he's performing in a one-man show called Mr. Lincoln at the Ford Theater, which is another super cool meta thing. There's not a Quantum Leap episode about Lincoln. There's a Timeless episode about Lincoln.
Yep.
So he's doing the Quantum Leap Timeless crossover and going to perform Lincoln at the Ford Theater, which is where Lincoln died.
Yes.
If anybody doesn't make that connection. And so when this first came about, Suzanne was the one who posted, like, can we all meet up at the same time this time? Since she knew we were going to end up in Peterborough on different weekends. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if we're all going to meet up at the same time, but we're going to meet up with Suzanne.
Right.
We are.
Along with Brian. So me and you and Adam, Brian and his son, are definitely going. We have tickets to the show. Suzanne and her brother have tickets to the show. Same show. So we're gonna be there with Suzanne this time. It doesn't sound great for Albie and Serenity joining us. Yeah. I don't think it's 100% no yet, but I don't think their schedule is going to allow it, so that's sad. And I don't know about anybody else. Right. Chris might be there.
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. We haven't really heard for sure, but I know we're going. I don't know the details yet of our trip. We haven't quite figured out the details. Brian has not booked us a house yet. He's trying.
Right.
We're trying to see if there's other people getting in on that and how big of a house we need to rent.
But we're going to be there for longer than the show. Yeah,
we're going to go for a few days and make a trip of it. Yeah. And it sounds fun.
Washington, D.C. I think I'm going to take my camera and I might just end up doing a Davisode out of it.
Ooh.
As opposed to...
as opposed to this?
Well, we might do this as well. We could. But yeah, I think I'll end up with a ton of footage, and I still haven't put together my Seattle trip.
Oh, that was a while ago now. You might just give up on it.
No, I think I have to. So
yeah, we're now the official Scott Bakula Stalker Club.
Yep,
we're going to go to Scott's third live performance of the year. Like, different performance in 3 different states even.
Yeah.
And we're definitely going to be going with Brian.
Yeah.
And we're going to be meeting up with Suzanne.
We're definitely going to see Brian again.
Possibly other people. And that's amazing.
Our new best friend, Brian Green.
Yeah, and we're going to go see Scott Bakula
for the third time this year.
And the one we're going to has a scheduled meet and greet.
Yes.
So in theory, we will get to meet him also for the third time.
Yes.
And I wonder if he'll know who we are by that point.
I doubt it, but...
or at least recognize us, that he's seen us before.
Oh, hey, it's Dave. Anyway.
And, so there's more exciting things coming.
Yeah.
It's the never-ending, like, pasta bowl over here.
Yep. It's amazing. Yeah, I mean, initially you guys were talking about staying through Monday, and I'm like, I don't know that I can afford this. And so I'm talking to Brian about it.
And then Brian, when Adam and I were talking to Brian, he's like, he wants to stay through Monday. And I was like, oh, you want to talk to Dave about that.
Right. And yeah, I'm talking to Brian. I'm like, my only concern here is financial. Like, are you guys going to get like this place that I can't possibly contribute to, that I'll have to spend like the next 5 years paying off? He's like, oh no, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. And I'm like, all right, I'm just going to agree to this because, what the hey? Like, I can't miss out on this. I'm not doing that. So yeah.
So yeah, we got another trip in the works.
Yeah. This time I'll be a little bit more prepared for it, I think.
We said that this time. Oh, yeah. Financially. I thought you meant like just...
Like, I'm going to try to plan for this and, set myself up, but we'll see how that goes.
And it's going to fall right in the middle of our busy fall recording schedule.
Yes.
So that's going to be another hiccup.
Yep.
But it's going to be worth it.
Oh, absolutely.
It's going to be worth it, and we're going to have a great time. We had a great time this weekend, and I'm sad that we don't get to hang out with these people every day.
I know.
Once a month we need to do this, get together.
It's going to get to a point where... meeting Scott Bakula and hanging out with Brian Green and Albie, it's like, just part of our lives. Like, it's not like the big thing that it is now, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Like, it might actually get to that point, and that's just insane to me. But,
Adam had a suggestion. I don't know how we can get this, who we need to talk to, but next year, the, Goodspeed Opera House.
Right.
Which is close to us.
Yeah.
Goodspeed Opera House is actually the theater that first premiered Man of La Mancha.
Okay.
Man of La Mancha premiered at the Goodspeed Opera House. That was the first place.
Yeah.
60 years ago. Next year is the 60th anniversary of Man of La Mancha playing at Goodspeed. And Adam's suggestion was we need to get them to not only do Man of La Mancha for their 60th anniversary of it, but to get Scott Bakula to come back and perform it again. And then, we can be the ones hosting a meetup in our state.
Brian Green should get right on that. He's got the Bakula phone.
Yeah, somebody needs to make that happen. You got to convince the Goodspeed Opera House to do it. I mean, I'm sure they're planned for the next 5 years already, but forget that. Tell them they got to do Man of La Mancha and then get Scott Bakula in on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
As Chris said, he's the original Bakula version.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm sure there were other people who performed it before him, but they don't count. They don't matter.
Scott Bakula.
So,
and we met Scott Bakula.
We met Scott Bakula.
Again.
Yes.
And we met Albie and Serenity and Brian Green.
In person.
And we got to hang out with Chris.
Yep. And it was an amazing time.
And we got to meet Penny.
Yes. Penny the dog. And Grogu. We met Grogu.
And of course, Chris's lovely wife, Laura.
Yes.
We got to meet and have dinner with her.
She was a very nice and lovely person.
Yes.
So it was great chatting with her as well.
Yeah.
And we made a joke about this being about 2 hours, and it's about 2 hours.
Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun. So
we did.
There's a lot to say.
And we wanted to share it. We hope...
Anybody who couldn't be there and you're just dying to know all about this adventure, you're probably disappointed that we spent 5 minutes talking about the show.
Right.
But
yeah,
now you're in on it. And you've hopefully been watching. If you're watching the YouTube version of this, there are all kinds of little pictures and video clips of our day.
And it's
and of the weekend.
Yeah.
And of everybody's travels and adventures. And there's more to come after we stop talking because you're going to get some more goodies.
From Suzanne. And plus I'm going to include some video that already appeared in this with some audio, so you'll get to hear some of that.
All right.
Yeah. Good times.
Yes. If anybody out there did also go to the show, let us know your thoughts. Did you enjoy the performance?
Yeah.
And if you didn't get to go, did you enjoy us talking and rambling about it?
Yeah, this is literally the most rambly podcast ever. I mean, I think it might have even been more so than the Connector was.
Maybe.
I think it might have ended up more so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was exciting. It was a fun time.
It was exciting. Yeah. It was great.
All
and
right.
It was just the best experience all around.
Yeah, absolutely.
But nothing negative other than, how long it took us to get there and having to find bathrooms. But all in all, nothing terrible happened.
Nothing terrible
happened.
And
lots of great things happened.
Absolutely.
And everybody got along.
Yeah. There was no fighting. I thought there would be some Mortal Kombat going on. Maybe me and Chris were gonna
Everybody got along, and everybody's great friends. And
yeah,
it's just amazing.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and we're so glad that we got to be part of this experience.
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely a worthwhile experience. I can't even really begin to express how much I was happy to be a part of this. And
yeah,
it's just amazing. I don't know that I expressed that enough, but this was really big.
It was big for us.
Mm-hmm. All right.
We appreciate all of you.
Absolutely.
The people we met with, and Scott Bakula and his people, and our listeners.
Yeah.
We appreciate each and every one of you.
Especially if you got through 2 hours of this thing.
Oh, we need a code word.
Oh, yes. La Mancha.
All right. Put La Mancha in the comments if you made it all the way through this really, really, really long, rambly video.
Right. All right.
Or just put it because you cheated and saw other people putting it.
Yes.
That's okay.
I'm sure that's something Ashley Wright would do because he's done it in the past. But, all right. So do we have anything else to say?
I think we said all the things. Come back next time. We're going to be talking about more Quantum Leap, and we got lots of great other shows coming back in the fall very, very soon. It feels like fall today, so I know we're close.
All right, so Stacie can be reached at.
I can be reached on Twitter, X, Instagram, and Threads at TVN Coupon Talk.
If you like this video and want to support the channel, there are a number of ways to do so. You can join my Korman Productions Facebook page. You can follow me on Twitter at Korman Productions. You can buy me a copy. You can buy something from the Korman Productions store on Zazzle. You can join the Korman Productions membership for 99 cents a month. And of course, you can like, share, and comment on this video, as well as subscribing to our channel. This is Dave and Stacie from Korman Productions, signing off.
Okay, we are on our way. Peterborough, New Hampshire, here we come. Scott Bakula, here we come. Man of La Mancha, here we come. Here we are having breakfast at the Inn of the Tartan Fox. We had scones, and they were really good. Here's some scones here. Mmm. apple cinnamon, and we had fruit, and now we're going to have some omelets and some French toast. And they're playing, I don't know if you can hear it, they're playing Man of La Mancha in the background for us. They're actually going on Sunday, and we're going today, so very exciting. Jonathan, you like your fruit?
Yeah.
Yeah, is it good?
Just stop filming me already.
How about you, Daddy? Was your fruit good?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
I do love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, which way do we go? We got down to the bottom, and now we get to go back up. This is the part where Albie would die. All right, here we are at our dinner spot, Cheshire Village Pizza in Keene, New Hampshire. Sun is like right in my eyes, but this is like the best angle, so yeah, we're gonna go in and get some pizza and they just have fish and chips and all kinds of grinders. I guess I call them grinders here, not hoagies, not subs. So hoagies and grinders, navy beans, navy beans, navy beans. Word has it that we're gonna see Scott Bakula tonight. It's gonna be amazing. We are here at the Peterborough Players Theater, and we're going to be seeing Man of La Mancha pretty soon, and it's super exciting. Trying to keep pretty subtle here because there's a lot of people, but very exciting. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Yeah, we saw a fox here the other night.
Yeah, you did?
Yeah. Yeah. What you got? What's in your hand? Play-Doh? Did you work on that on the show? Did you make something during the show? Yeah, good. What'd you make? Fox? No?
He probably would have, but I think he was actually really enjoying the show.
Oh, good.
So, yeah.
Teenager, and have you sign my...
Of course. Of course, of course, of course. My pleasure. There you go.
Thank you. I admire your attitude.
I'm glad you were here.
Can you sign ours as well?
You want names on them or just sign them?
You can make mine to Suzanne.
That's you.
Suzanne. And this has been a dream come true.
Yes?
Yes.
Good.
I mean, my mom introduced Man of La Mancha to us, my brother and me, when we were my son's age.
Really?
And it has always been my favorite musical.
It's a great musical.
And you are my favorite actor.
Oh, thank you.
And my mom's favorite episode was Catch a Falling Star. And I know if she were still here with us, she would definitely be here. I mean, I've had a lifelong love of this show because of my mom. Yeah. And because of you. So, I love Quantum Leap, huge fan. I was tearing up when you first started singing, because it was like reliving it, but getting to see you actually do it, and I cried at the end when everyone was singing you off. Good. Yeah. So,
well, thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Deadly serious game of boop.
Been real.
Recording?
Yeah.
Careful. Well, at least we're amusing.
Oh, the magic is made right here.
Yes.
Is it a crack rock? Close. Is it just the paper?
Yes.
Oh.
We literally look for this rock everywhere that
All-
we go.
all the time.
That's us around it.
Because we've seen it online, but we haven't
Yeah.
seen it in person. That's
Thank
awesome.
you so much.
I saw it on a tape.
It's a Stacie birthday present, so it's impossible to open. Oh, there you go.
She knows how to rip.
Oh, thank you so
Wait, Adam
much.
doesn't?
Yeah, I like making bracelets.
Oh, sweet. Yes.
Cool.
And a
Nice.
bunch of letter beads and color beads and gold beads.
Thank you.
you so much.
That's awesome.
No, I don't want to spoil it for anybody.
Cheers.
But
Spill it on me.
In Manila Mancha until you've seen it in the original package.
Yeah.
Cheers, Adam.
Then we're gonna go see Scott Bakula.
Sounds good.
I don't know about.
Like pretend like you love him.
I gotta be in the background.
All right. I'm actually currently doing a video, but all right.
You can go on tonight. Send that to me in the group.
Oh, well, definitely will.
I wanted to when I was about your age, and then I grew up. Any ideas?
Yeah, all right, we'll do it.
Absolutely none. Maybe like just like a YouTuber. Like
Well, you're already that.
Yeah,
What
but
else?
like a very successful.
But you got to do something else because you need a
Yeah.
good job.
Yeah.
Still, ask your dad.
Gotta have a gimmick.
Yeah. The real job would probably be
Fashion model.
that I would
Physicist. No.
Quantum leap.
maybe
Firefighter.
no.
I'm running out of foot.
Regular. Regular bit of the water.
I said that.
Yeah, you said that.
Physicist is supposed to be there now. Nothing else. Oh well, you cancel it. So then I
An
can
elevator door pusher. Like
That's what.
Yeah, no,
No,
you
you
wanna charge me?
have to be up front and leave her first because then you call us anymore.
You gotta
You have to go to the door.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be for 5.
You're better now than you were at 7. So. Okay.
This is my first year and I made it without
Trading
having
a
a
boiler.
What's your ideas for her?
That's easier. A YouTuber.
We went past that. Now she needs a day job.
No day job. She's gonna be successful. She's already got 700 subscribers.
No, we still need a day job.
What's your gimmick?
No idea what that means.
Or a night job. Hi. You're recording the after, right?
Mhm.
Beautiful. So since nobody knows the name of our show, I got these for you guys. Remember.
Thank you. Quantum leap, rewatch,
We had problems.
Yeah, lots of problems.
Oh, I love them.
Corn Productions and you guys.
It's official merch. Right off the tongue. Yeah.
Or just Korman Productions.
That will be on my refrigerator the rest of my life and a lot of her life, I'm sure.
Me too.
You don't want to watch, so I don't watch them.
I watch nerdy
We
shows.
find
24 hours in a day.
shows that we watch together.
But
Ah, look at you getting some dirt.